Just a couple of minutes.
Sweet.
Let's get some news right now, though, from Sandy, who's decided to join us this morning.
Oh, hello, Sandy.
Well, hello.
Good morning. How are you guys doing?
And I've
We
got
are
my
good.
Christmas.
Got my elves on the
Oh,
shelf.
yeah, that's nice.
Oh,
Yeah.
oh,
All
Captain.
right. So
What happened
everybody,
yesterday? Did you have a lion?
oh my gosh. No, just forgot to update the link and then it logged me out. And yeah.
Everyone's just phoning it
Mercury's
in
in
before
re-
the end of the year. Come
Mercury's
on,
in
guys.
retrograde as well.
That's oh yeah, there's that.
I don't know. Yeah, blame it on the full moon. There you go.
Yeah. Let's play your open officially. Here we go.
Big news. I have some important news for you. Interesting news.
It's Blake and Darren's Spilling the Tea with Sandy.
K-Man's top news headlines of the day from CMR.
Brought to you by J. Michael Fashion for Everyone. What do we got on this Friday morning?
All right. So happy Friday, everyone. It feels like Christmas is right around the corner.
Yep.
It is.
Okay. I know. I'm scared. I'm not ready. All right. So there is a question about the Cayman Islands government, the Honorable Premier, deciding to interfere with a land repossession. So the backstory is there's a guy in Cayman Brac named Mr. Raymond Scott who had lost his house after basically refusing to pay the loan for many, many years. And CIDB, which is a government-owned bank, had to put it in foreclosure. Now, it took them forever to do so, which is also kind of questionable. But anywho, they took it back, had it under contract for sale. The premier jumps in, instructs the Solicitor General to issue a compulsory acquisition notice to CIDB, telling them to cancel the sale.
Why?
So wait, they're going to buy the house for him?
No, somebody else had the house on the contract under the foreclosure.
Okay.
And they have basically put a stop to that. The assumption is in order to stop the foreclosure, which is super crazy when you think about it, but they're claiming it's to put in a cemetery expansion and some other social housing. That's what they claim. Everybody thinks those projects are never going to happen. And basically, this was a way to creatively stop a foreclosure that a government bank was trying to pursue.
Wow.
That's interesting.
Okay. Isn't it more of like a legal proceeding? How would a premier just be able to say, put a stop to that?
Well, she used the compulsory acquisition. Government can compulsorily purchase property, and that's
like eminent domain is what you're saying.
Yeah. Well, yeah, that's what she's trying to do. Lots of questions if that's the proper use of that, though. Doesn't quite seem
Sounds
like
a legal matter.
It does sound like a legal matter.
Yeah, I think somebody needs to be sued.
Someone that's
All right.
smarter than I.
Yeah.
Yes. So did you guys also hear that this government, in order to balance their budget, decided to basically just use the Environmental Protection Fund? So they raided the Environmental Protection Fund to fund the budget for the Department of Environmental Health. Isn't that ironic? So the Environmental Protection Fund is meant to purchase property that needs to be saved for environmental purposes, and that is funded through all of us paying a particular exit fee when we travel out of the country. So both air and cruise liners pay that, and so they decided that they were going to take $13.1 million out of this fund in order to cover operational expenses for the Department of Environment, including salaries.
And is that legal?
Wow. I mean, it's never been done before. So who knows? It's certainly not a proper purpose, you would think, for that fund.
So who does oversight on this kind of thing?
Maybe the Auditor General needs to issue a report. I mean, I think she might be the only person. I don't know. The Anti-Corruption Unit maybe needs to start paying attention. I don't know.
The Ombudsman, maybe?
Ombudsman. I don't think that this falls under her remit or that office's remit. So.
Well, doing all that, and I'm reading a story about how Christmas Eve shopping limited by the Sunday trading law. Like, let's focus on that maybe. Let's get
here.
Yeah, so like some businesses aren't going to be open on Christmas Eve. You know how some people get their last minute shopping done? Only like, what does it say? It says only tourist related shops that have been pre-approved to trade on Sundays.
Mhm.
So, yeah, so that's going to affect some stuff. Everyone's going to be busy today, running around last minute today and tomorrow. Yeah.
Yeah, I wish grocery stores were open on Sunday. That
Right?
would
I do too.
I wanted to get them.
Like,
Yeah. It would
on
really,
Sunday, not on Saturday.
it would really
On
relieve
Sunday, yes.
it would relieve a lot of the traffic on Saturdays
Yeah.
because everybody, that's the only day people have that are not working for the most part to get their grocery shopping done. And if
I guess if we opened it up completely, they'd all be working.
well, and if you had the option to do your grocery shopping on Sunday, I think a lot of people would do that.
Yeah. All right. One final story. Congratulations to the Infinity All-Stars. Women's basketball. Yay. They've emerged victorious with a score of 71-68 against Infinity in a thrilling basketball final that kept the audience on the edge of their seats on Sunday. We missed it. Yeah. They said it was a closely contested affair. Both teams put up a good fight at the Deloitte Championship event. Infinity's defense was particularly impressive, with the team blocking 8 shots and stealing the ball 4 times. There you go.
All right.
However, Infinity All-Stars pulled it off in the end, so congratulations to them.
Are you late for your show?
Yes.
Okay.
Just a tad. All right.
By the way, grocery stores, some are like McRuss.
Oh, yeah, McRuss is.
And what's the other one that's open? That's open on Sundays as well. They have a couple of them. ShopRite or something.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
There are some.
And there's a couple liquor stores open on Sundays.
Yeah.
So I don't know why everybody can't do it because
just
obviously.
like every once in a while.
Yeah. Church and then liquor. That's how it works. Have a good one.
All right, Sandy. Have a great Christmas.
Yes, Merry
Christmas. See you in the new year.
When are you back? You're back on the 3rd?
Oh, we're here.
We're back on the 3rd.
Yeah, we're here. But we're gonna all be back in.
We're back
full
on the
force.
2nd.
Yes.
Yeah. So I've decided I'm going to take off next week as well.
Merry Christmas and Happy New Year.
Merry Christmas, Happy New Year.
All right.
Bigger, better, bolder. The cold, hard truth is taking talk to the next level. Right here on Bobo 89.1 FM, Cayman's Community Radio.
We are still spilling the tea.
And committed to being part of the change that Cayman so desperately needs. Join Sandy Hill weekdays from 7:30 a.m. for Premier Access, Cayman Voices, Truthful Thursdays, and much more. Cayman's #1 talk show is now bigger, better, bolder, and more than talk. Getting results with hot topics, consumer reports, court exposés, and more.
I've come to set the record straight. I've come to shine the light on you. Let me introduce myself. I am the cold, hard truth.
Now, from the CMR studio in Grand Cayman.
Live. Direct.
It's the cold, hard truth. Now. Join the conversation on 345-936-2626.
That number again is
345-936-2626.
All right, everybody. Merry Christmas. It is literally right around the corner. I told y'all I was not ready for it this year, and it snuck up on me even more than I anticipated. Oh my gosh. I gotta be honest. Yesterday I was like, wait a minute. There's only 3 days till Christmas? Don't we have 5 days left? And the person I was talking to was like, no. 3 days. That's it. Got on my Christmas hat. Got on my co-host this morning. We're going to do a 2-for-1 special. Elf on the Shelf, #1, the little girl, and then the little guy. There we go. All right. Good morning, everybody. Good morning, all our Instagram listeners. How are you guys doing? The Instagram, if you're not really talking like the sis, they're like, yeah, we can't be bothered. When you start talking sis, then they jump back on. All right, everybody. Today is, for all intents and purposes, Christmas Eve for us here on the program because Christmas is Monday. Anybody else feels like they're just not prepared for Christmas? I'm trying to move them out of the way. Whoa, I mean, yeah, that was the phone, not the phone. Yeah. All right, there we go. Everybody ready for Christmas? Who is not ready? Who's like me? Nothing's done. Christmas tree not decorated. Catering food, but the food ain't even ordered yet. What a hot mess. So it goes. Let's see who's with us this morning. Anybody else feel ill prepared? Just go ahead and raise your hand. No shame in it. No shame in my game. Good morning to Ms. Vernita. Siobhan is in the house. Good morning to Scott. Ooh, Scott, I had my turkey dinner yesterday. Delicioso. Good morning to Miss Linda. Merry Christmas, darling. Merry Christmas. Oh, how's everybody? We got Haley in the house. Miss Wee Wee is here. Wishing everyone a Merry Christmas. We have Bamati. Is that how you pronounce your name? Banmati? Andy, how are you? Joining us from La Ceiba, Honduras. How's the weather there? Hilda, good morning to you. Siobhan says whether the projects happen or not, she's not supposed to do that. I mean, that's how I feel about it. But we ain't the law, so we got to ask the law to look into it. I don't believe that those projects are ever going to get done. We'll talk about that here in a second. By the way, we do have Premier Panton. Oh, shoot. Oh, he's no longer Premier. I'm sorry. We do have MP Wayne Panton, the Honorable. I think he still keeps Honorable title. Wayne Panton joining us today. I guess I can't play my Premier Access jingle anymore. Oh, man. Got to redo it now. All right. We'll find a name for his segments because he is committed to continuing to talk to the good people. Oh, my apologies. Let me grab my links. Hold on. What's up, folks? Because I know y'all sitting there going, Sandy, I'm waiting on the link this morning. Hold on, honey chill. So we'll grab YouTube first. And then, give me 1 second here. I saw a really interesting article that I need to read today, as well as a new piece of equipment that I wish to purchase for 2024. Nobody tells Marlon about the new equipment, please. All y'all gonna, yeah, you're gonna tell him right now. Can't keep a secret in K-Man, you know. Hold on. There we go. I got my links now. All right. So this is how I'm looking at it. So, you know, Marlon is not the best shopper when it comes to deciding what to get me. And so his philosophy is just like, I'm just going to give you money. Good morning, caller. Hello. Hi. Good, thanks. We are live on the radio. Are you trying to call the radio? 936-2626. Okay, thank you so much. Yes. Okay. So yeah, I got my eye on some new equipment. So I was telling you, for Christmas, he just gives me money, honey chill. I'm like, ooh la la. I'll take it. Good morning, caller.
Good morning. How you doing, Sandra?
Very
Happy
good.
holidays.
Yes, Merry Christmas when it comes.
I wanted to call in and just chat a bit about a couple of things because I've had so many friends who are much older than me have called in, and I actually saw a couple of them on Monday night. And basically, I'm talking about this pension money that was received by pensioners. I mean, the pension department does such a great job, holding things together, making sure that money is safe, so that when you retire from the civil service, you have something to look forward to. And, they deserve a lot of credit and praise. Jewel and her team are very great people.
Yes.
But what most of the people have been calling me about is saying, imagine we are the underdogs. People like us that have worked 40, 45 years. We've gone through, hurricanes. We've gone through all kind of storms to help keep the island and put the island to where it is. We are the ones that only deserve 250, while politicians that have just come in deserves an extra 1,500 on top of their high salaries that they're already making. And some of them are already pensioners, so they didn't just get 1,500. They got the 1,500 plus the 250, I'm sure. So it would be 1,750. And many people called. I saw 5 ladies on Monday night, and they said to me, it's a disgrace. They're so ashamed. And I said, you all need to call and you need to voice your opinion. I says, we're keeping quiet too much in this country. And it's the only country that is doing it. Everybody and around the world are rioting. They are standing up for what they believe in. Their unions are standing up for what they believe in. But the Caymanians have opened their doors to everyone to come here and do whatever they they want to do. And the laws and those that are in power that should be protecting us, they also are, they don't care. And we're sitting back and saying, oh, we should do nothing. No, make a difference. The reason the Georgetown first got a school in Georgetown was because people like my mother, Joyce Prendergast, the late Miss Onisha McField, and Miss Georgette, who just passed away, got tired of all of the lip service and decided to march in Georgetown. And they marched because a child, I am not sure, because it was way before my time, a child actually got knocked down crossing the street to go to their little wooden house that they were keeping school in. And they got pretty tired of it, and they said, we need a change. So my mom was instrumental of actually building one of the first schools in the Georgetown area so that students would have a proper place to go, and they didn't have to put their lives in danger just to get across to go to school.
I think the story might be that somebody fell down a hole or something too.
Right.
Yes.
Yeah. But somebody might have done that too, but I know that it was a kid for sure that did get hurt. So I'm calling to say that, civil servants, are definitely that gem. They are the people that has no batteries, but they keep going no matter what it is under all kind of circumstances. I will read also a snippet of what one of the civil servants sent to me, and they said, I am so insulted, being overworked and underpaid. We the underdogs that is worth nothing anymore. This reminds me of what many of them did to their parents who worked their hands to blood for them to put them away and remember them no more. So I know that a lot of us are upset about it because we deserve that $1,500. We are the veterans of this country. When you have given 37, 38, 39, 40, 45 years, like some I met on Monday night, they wanted to voice. So I'm calling on behalf, not me, but so many of us that feel jilted when we also feel insulted and we're hurt to know that civil servants are not being respected. Those that have given and built this country for everybody else to come and enjoy now. That is number one subject. Number two, Sandra, I wanted to bring to our attention. We've been talking about culture.
Before we go on from there, can I just make an interesting observation? A person who's listening to you says that Juliana O'Connor Connolly has opened this Pandora box. The truth of the matter is, caller, the government cannot and could not afford to give anybody $1,500. So the government has been less than honest about this. And as a result of them wanting to basically buy your vote with $1,500, and they're not able to give it to everybody, including the pensioners. Some of the agencies, somebody corrected me yesterday and said SEMA did not get it. So I want to clarify that because I erroneously said that yesterday. She's opened this Pandora's box. So now some people feel a particular way about it. And I don't blame the pensioners for feeling jilted. But the real truth is we couldn't afford to give it to anybody. She's putting this country in debt for me, you, our children, their children, everybody. And then turning around and raiding things like the Environmental Protection Fund.
Doesn't make any... Where is our government, Sandra? Well, I have watched.
We're talking about the same thing. And can I say something else along those lines? someone made the following observation. I'm just going to put it out there. If it sticks, it sticks. If it doesn't, well, it is what it is. The newly appointed minister who's taken over from Wayne Panton, the Honorable Kathy Wilkes, has been instructed to not work with has been instructed to not work with Jennifer Ahern, right? This is coming from John, who refused to work with her because they have some finagling now, some backdoor finagling that they want to happen with the regen situation. And they know that Jennifer Ahern, who is the only civil servant that is the most well-versed on this project, is not going to let that happen. So they have decided to remove her from this ministry. And the accusation is, I know Mr. Franz Manderson is probably listening this morning. The accusation is Mr. Franz Manderson is going to allow, although the Constitution in Section 52 says that this should not be done, he's going to allow this political move because his civil servants just got $1,500. So instead
of him standing up and going to the governor and saying, look, I had enough of this, and I also have a law degree. Let me stand for my people.
Yes.
This is why I said we can't build a world-class civil service when we have a representative that does not care.
Yeah.
And I will go this far. I am also a sexual assaulted victim. When I mentioned it to him, he smiles. When I mentioned it to the portfolio of the civil service, I was told if it happens again, I come to them. It might have happened a few years before, but what I was expecting from these people is I'm going to have a consult with my attorney general to see where this would lead. Or I was expecting a letter from my DG saying, on behalf of the civil service, I am thanking you for the years you have put in. I am ashamed and appalled of what you experienced. And I want you to know that in case it happens to you again, I am 100% behind you. You do not know, Sandra, how many people are hurting because they do not understand what they need to do. They do not understand, or they just feel alone and don't know where to turn. I know what I have to do, and sooner or later, my attorneys will deal with my matter. But rest assured, this is the kind of stuff that is happening. And I wonder, where is our governors in all of this? It is sad. It is so sad. But I want to go on also with this topic, that the seeds these people are sowing are the seeds they will also reap. The old people used to say, my mom and dad used to say to me, Lisa, if you fast with somebody, it's going to come back to you. You hurt somebody, it's going to come back to you. So they used to tell me, she says, when you're digging holes for people's children, Lisa, dig too. She says, so she would tell people all the time, when you're hurting people's children, dig 2 holes because it's coming back. The other subject I would like to quickly mention is that I'm reaching out to all of the people that have represented Georgetown as politicians throughout the years, and maybe staying back at home, and those that are present. We've been talking about how we have to save our culture and remember all the things and try to implement these in the schools. That we have never done. And they're talking about all these different things that need to be done. But I'm just going to say this. Rose Miles is definitely an icon, and she has been in culture for Georgetown. One of the things that she does, whether we appreciate what she has done, she is the peppermint lady. Okay, Rose had surgery earlier this week, and unfortunately and regrettably, she has lost a limb. And now she is in the hospital. I would like to reach out to Shamari Scott. I would like to reach out to all of our present government to please go and visit Rose, and to also put Rose on our awards list, because she is definitely a culture icon, because she has gone around, she showed how we can make the peppermints, and her and Miss Laline from Northside, may her soul rest in peace, Those were the two women, along with all the family members, Mr. Bobby Seymour's wife, Miss Rosaline, all of her sisters. They were the people that I knew that did all of these peppermint candies and drops and so forth. Now I know that there's still a few ladies in the Scranton area that does the coconut drops and probably still around there, Mr. Hyson Conley, different people that we have that still does the crafts and stuff with the straw and the touch and stuff like that. But there it is. We also have one that does, peppermint making, and she's been in lots of her shows and stuff throughout the years. And Rose's health is failing. So this Christmas, I went to visit her on Tuesday night. I took her a lovely basket and stuff, for diabetics and stuff in the hospital. And I'm reaching out to our public and say, look, this is an icon that is going down. Let us not go and talk garbage when she's dead in the box.
Yes.
Let us go and visit her now. This Christmas, something like $1,500 that you all got. Let's give her some envelopes. Let's, make sure that we put her on the next hero list. If she lives till then, let's put her there. The other hero I want to big up this morning is Anna Evans, the civil servant that has been missing for 13 years, and the pain that her children are still going through. I want to also applaud her sister Noreen, who took on the responsibility of raising her son and 5 of Anna's. She deserves a home. And even though she has been working, a lot of her money has gone to help raise those children. She is a hero in my book. I'm also asking Kenneth to make sure that Noreen also receives an award and push that her department also gets her a deputy governor's award. She has to go to the same place every morning and look at the same very place where her sister disappeared and have no answers. And as far as I'm concerned, her whole family should be paid now and should be paid until, things have been settled with the government, whether there's a wrongful death suit or whatever. That needs to be done because those children, their mother is still working. She clocked in and she did not clock out. And she's a civil servant, and we need to do more for this family. So I'm asking this government, especially, I'm not asking the premier. I am asking those young ones that just came in. They have inherited this. Let us see the change that you can make and do what needs to be done.
And
as far as these politicians switching from side to side, those kind of people I don't have any respect for, because those are the same people that have companies here that don't hire any Caymanians. They hire staff members, but most of their staff are from everywhere else. And that goes also for Mr. Hugh, that because McDonald's bar was where I grew up, my father's property was all in the back there. There's no Caymanians in the bar. There's no Caymanians in the restaurant. There are no Caymanians working at Hughes Janitorial. So when you're talking about that you care for your country, but yet you're doing the opposite, these are not the things that people that we really need. We need people that have soul. Education needs to have 2 chief officers or possibly 3. And it only needs to be one subject that stands alone. One of the best ministers we have ever had for education is Rolston Anglin. Rolston went to all of the areas that education was top and key. He visited those countries with a team from Grand Cayman, and there were mixed people. There were Caymanians as well as foreign nationals here working in education. And the vision that he had Rolston had chance to actually come, get all of that together and actually produce that and put it into work. I'm telling you, we would have been much better. But what I have seen in education, that is a demonic pit. And I'm sorry, the only how it can happen is someone like Rolston or someone that is young like that will come on with a challenge, fight for it. You cannot have our children going to school and they're only hearing one type of dialect. I was a student at UCCI and I was in accounting, and this particular teacher, I couldn't understand her pronunciation at all. It got to the point that I went to the second class and I walked out and I deferred my class and I took it over with another professional, another professor that was there. And that professor had taught me business law. And when I took it with her, I passed with flying colors. Now, if I, as an adult, couldn't understand that other teacher, imagine what our young children are going through. Imagine what our high school students are going through. That they could only hear one dialect from one country. Let's take a step back. Let's go to where all of this is going with Jamaica, okay? We'll put it out there. How many of us are working with Andrew Holness? How many of us are in his cabinet? How many of us are working on his airport in Jamaica? How many of us? We have let too much happen, and we need teams of people in our government that is going to come in and make change. And I'm sorry. I am sorry. We are going down, and we're going down fast. The ship is sinking. And I'm telling you, it needs, we really need to work on this country and get it back up in order. If we don't, I'm sorry for what's going to happen to all of the grandchildren and the great grandchildren that are coming here. It's really going to be bad for us, because it's to the point where people believe that they don't. And Sandra, let me just say this. For years, I've watched that this particular nationality and many others come to the country. They will never go into a career fair and say, let me go in and take one or two of our students and not just put them on internship, but let me bring them on and make them apprentice, teach them to be electricians, or plumbers or whatever, and then put them on their staff when they actually graduate. They will not do it. They will never give back. That is one nation that will never give back. They take and they take and they take, but they will never get back. And yet we have government, they're coming after government that believes it's okay now. And we're at 36%. Let us stand together and march. Caymanians, let us stand together and march and demand better. But it's only going to take all of us standing for what is right. We are not going to get through this by thinking that the politicians who line their pocket are going to do better for us. We got to show them that we put them in there, we can take them out, and we can also go to the governor, or we can go to England and say, look, we want different representation. We want different. We might want to do that, but the bottom line is that it could be, that could
the governor said, unfortunately, because I would say about 90% of people did not want this new UPM government. And then we were saying, call a new election. The governor's office basically said she doesn't have that power because the Constitution does not allow her to do so. So, our power is limited, even as a citizenry of this country.
We all marched together. We said no.
But we have to remember when it comes 2025 is around the corner.
Somebody would have listened.
Well,
but the thing is,
we marched already, but we better march when we go to the polls.
Your door, Sandra. They want you to help them. And then when it comes time for them to stand together, united, say what you want. Jamaicans stand together.
Oh, yeah.
Say what you want. Filipinos stand together. Say what you want. Indians stand together. And it is so sad because when we go to every one of those restaurants and eat I've eaten several of them down in West Bay Road.
Yes.
When they bring the food, is this Indian spices? It's not our culture. It's not the spices that we use. And it takes away so much from the food. And don't get me wrong, some Indian food is great. But to think that is what they're saying the Cayman Islands represent, again, it's just wrong. It's all of that is just wrong to us because that's not who we are.
Where's this food?
This at the Ritz. At the Ritz. I was there for my birthday at the Ritz Carlton. And we ordered various things, but when the food came, it just had all this types of spice that they cooked with the food. It was all these strong Indian spices and stuff. And I'm saying, it takes away from us. This is not how we cook. This is not us. This is a foreign people that are coming and cooking in our places and saying this is from the Cayman Islands. It is just so wrong. But there again, we don't have ministers that are saying no. Look, we have students that are culinary. They're doing culinary and hospitality and stuff, and we need them to be into tourism and into the hospitality industry along West Bay Road, so that they can say this is part of the Cayman culture. We've lost. We've got the horses out the gate. We've got the cows out the gate. We've got the sheep, the chickens. Everybody's out the gate. This is not for us. We might as well call this Little Jamaica, because I'm telling you, and Little Philippines, because it's really bad. It's not for us. And it is so sad how we turned against one another. It is so sad. It is just so sad. When I grew up in a culture where I could go next door and knock to borrow a cup of something, or we looked out for one another. When I came into the civil service, let me just tell you the difference. When Captain Charles McKernan was selling his property up here in Couture Street, he had several parcels left, and I wanted to buy one. I didn't have the money at the time, even though my father was getting ready to sell our property, which was worth several $1 million in Georgetown. I did have the money, but I wanted to do it on my own. So I sold my first Civic, and it was only worth $14,000. So I went to Captain Charles Picarno, who worked on the fourth floor with me. And I said, because I worked in tourism, aviation, and trade with James Norwood and then Mr. Norman Bodden. And I said, Captain Charles, I want to buy a piece of that property. And he said, Lisa, you mean one of those in Coutura, the Walkersville? I said, yes, sir. But I say it's for $25,000. I only make $600 a month. So he said to me, he says, okay. He says, well, we'll work on something. So I said, I'm going to sell my car. And he says, okay, then come and see me then when you have the money, whenever you're ready. And he says, I'm going to take it off the market. He took it out of the real estate agent, so there was no commission I had to pay. And he said to me, you bring me the check for the 14, and I did. And he says, I'm going to make you pay the balance to Mr. Smith go down to the home center on Eastern Avenue. You go and look for Mr. Smith, who was an Irish, an accountant that they had hired, and you pay him what you can every month, the $6,000 that you balance. And I did. And today I have my property, and that's because someone didn't put money first. He put our Caymanians first. He put respect to my family first. That's what we are lacking and we have forgotten about. Because when you start becoming multimillionaires and you own lots of land and you have had that privilege, it goes straight to the head and they forget what they're supposed to be doing. And I would only remind them that's only a high that's going to last for a few years, because a few years will come and no longer you will be important. No longer people are going to remember how you treat them. People are going to walk around with those cars. People are still not going to get over that stuff, and they are never going to forget. And trust me, you never know what God will do where you may have all the money in the world, but you may have to come right back to your enemy to get that help. They better stop this foolishness about destroying our Caymanian people and start respecting all of us. They better stop that. Sandra, you have been great. Continue to do the great job you're doing.
You.
I'm leaving you now, but I'm hoping that people heard me. I want to reach out just again to any millionaires that are here that are looking for something, a case worthy. I am actually asking help for Noreen Dixon. She needs a home. She needs to, have something for herself. She has sacrificed her life to help raise her sister who disappeared in the dump in 2011. And she's no longer with us. I truly believe that, and her family believes that. And the family has gotten legal representation.
I think legally they have they've actually pronounced her dead as well. So I think that was done.
I got help with them through getting Shelley White to represent them. I wrote several years ago and put a piece in the papers asking for pro bono work. And one of the partners of Walkers, Shelley Wright, came to her aid, and she did a lot of pro bono work for them. She has not charged them a thing. She is a queen, as far as I'm concerned. I thank her and her team for all the work that they have done. And she had several young Caymanians that were article clerks and now are lawyers working with her. And I won't call their names, but I'm just so proud of them, and I thank them for all the work that they have done. But this family deserves a settlement from government, and a good one that they can live their lives. And if they're going to push these children that they have to get a QC then to take them to court, then the children decide and do whatever they want to do. That's where they go. But I am actually reaching out to those that may want to help Noreen Dixon. They can get in touch with me, 925-2705. We need to build her a home. We don't know how to do anything extravagant, but we need some funds. We need also someone that is going to make sure that we give back. And I'm saying to the women in the professional women's clubs, I'm saying to, millionaires here that we have all of the politicians, like I said, that ran for Georgetown, Mr. Norman Budd. I know he's not well, Mr. Linford Pearson, Mr. Truman Bodden. But this young lady's from Central Georgetown in Shedman Road. I want to make sure that Noreen also has and is being thanked. She might not get thanks from everybody, but I want to make sure that the balance of Noreen's life has some type of comfort. And we need to give her thanks, because there's much more to the story, Sandra, because the government failed this family way before Anna disappeared. There's another story with the oldest child, and I'm not ready to do that, even though he has given me permission to speak about it. It's a bigger story here. where this child got hurt. The person that hurt that child has not been arrested, which is the stepfather. He has not been arrested. He's not been prosecuted. And there's a bigger story here. And like I said, I would rather let the son or the family members, definitely divulge everything that has to happen with that. But the bottom line is, there's so much more that needs to be done for this family. And already the government has failed this family by not doing what they needed to do for that young man when he was a child. And therefore, we have failed this family. So therefore, we should be coming together as a country and fighting for this family to say, look, we failed them. Our system failed them. The prosecution failed them. We need to do better for this family. So I'm saying to millionaires out there today that, I have worked really hard in making sure this family had food on the table. I want to thank Woody Foster from Foster's again, who gave food all the time, certificates all the time. No matter what time I called Woody was there to make sure that these kids had something. I took these people overseas. I took money out of my pocket. Cayman Airways gave them a donation of $2,000. I held the first $1 rally on the public beach. We raised $5,600, and this same very premier and Sir Alden came and they spoke and said and promised that they would look into this matter and going to find out what happened to Anna and come back and tell the family. The family is still waiting. They were there. I put that whole bill. I had a beautiful thing there, had celebrations, set up a podium, flowers there, the children let go balloons and everything. And they did something like that just a few years ago as well. I was not here, but when this first happened, I wanted to raise a reward for news or for information. There's too many cold cases here, Sandra. I do this, and let me tell you why I'm so passionate for this family. First of all, they're friends, and I grew up on Shedden Road, and our families knew each other, and we respect each other. That's one. But number two, my Aunt Caitlin, Rolston Anglin's also family member, my Aunt Caitlin Anglin, my mom's baby sister, she lost two of her sons who were murdered. Their bodies have never been found. Her son Daryl used to work as a chef at Spanish Bay Reef, and he disappeared. He was coming home from work, called and said, look, I'm leaving work now, I'll be home. He has never reached home. We've never found out who has done it. And all of this money that we keep pumping into, salaries of the police and prosecution. He's making great salaries. They're driving around in Audis, and they have homes here, have homes in Jamaica. We have everything. I'm saying we haven't changed a lot of these laws to make sure that we can prosecute without a body and make sure that these people definitely go behind bars. We have not, and I feel bad because this is what I think. If you come as an attorney general, you're foreign from somewhere else, you should want to give back to this country by imploring and saying to our government, look, I know Mr. Bradley was very instrumental. I worked for 37 years in government. So Mr. Bradley was one of our attorney generals. He was very instrumental of pushing and saying, look, we need to change this law. We need to get this done. And, I people like that, I want to keep, and that's what we need. We need to discuss people that are going to say, look, we need to get this. We need to do this. We need to do it to help our country and help whatever. I am a part of this country now. I'm Caymanian. I have children, and give back. And we're not having that. But like I said, I have two cousins that disappeared and I lost a nephew in 2010 with the 5 that disappeared in the boat. We've never found them. And that was a different case scenario. But 2 of my cousins were murdered. My first cousins at that, and they have never been found. We have not also put enough into cold cases. We have Scotland Yard where we're under in London, and we have the United States that we work with, FBI agents. Why haven't we not gotten a team to come back and look into our cold cases? We must be the only place in the world that are really not working on these cases. And don't get me wrong, our the Royal Cayman Islands Police, definitely, they work hard. A lot of them work hard. They're constantly on call. I have had to call them on numerous things. So trust me, I'm telling you that, I'm not saying that they're not working. I'm saying that they need another branch where they look at these cold cases and bring justice, if they can, to people, because they're broken hearts. There are many mothers that their family members have been murdered, broken hearts. And although my mom and my aunt and a lot of my family members are not here, they're not alive anymore, Sandra, my heart is still hurt because it's still broken, because there's a part of us missing and we never got the truth. I mean, when one of the things my aunt had me do was, we know who killed her last son. They're still alive and they're walking free today. I won't call their names, just because. But there are a lot of people that know my family situation and know exactly what happened and transpired, including politicians. But the bottom line is, one of the things she had me do while they were serving in jail for serving, on a different charge. I think it was burglary or something like that. She had me sit down and dictate a letter stating they know she is the mother of this person. But she says that the pain that I have in my heart today was something I will take to my grave. And she also said, I want you to know that I carried this man for 9 months. I raised my son to be this kind of person, and you came and you took him away from me. And then she stopped in another paragraph and she said, but I forgive you. And she wrote it again. I forgive you. And then she wrote it again. I forgive you. And she had me write that letter and make sure that those people got that. And she's now gone. She's now gone. She's asleep. But the pain is still in my heart when I had to write that letter for her. So this country needs so much representation, rather not just the money and all of the situation. What education needs are three chief officers to run that. It needs to be in that, and a minister that's going to go into our schools every single day and watch how our children are being taught. And we need to have an equal balance. If we're going to have 50% from Jamaica, we need 50% from Cayman. We are the only country in the world that does not think enough and does not give their own people the respect it deserves. And we have to change that by women standing together. I stand for all good women. I stand for loyalty. I stand for honesty and integrity. I stand against bullying. I stand against harassment. I stand against sexual assault. I stand against all of those things I stand against. And if we get together and we march, we have a woman governor, just like they're marching in London, just like they're marching in France, just like they're marching in the United States, we can make a difference. We can make a difference. Again, my number is 925-2705. If there are millionaires out there listening to this show today that would like to give back to this country in a worthy cause, I would like you all to help Noreen. She needs a piece of property. She needs a house to be built. Why should we help her? Because she has gone through a lot. Her mother has gone through a lot. I went to visit her and give her a gift and a lovely fruit basket a few nights ago. And she cried. The tears rolled down her eyes. She says, Lisa, nothing yet. She says, my baby is gone, nothing yet. This is the kind of thing that hurts me and why I'm on the radio this morning. I am passionate and I love my people, but we need to do much better. We need to do much better. And unfortunately, Anna went missing under this premier. Under this premier is who she went missing, or she went missing under this premier. And I'm not saying that this woman doesn't have heart, because I know that under that ministry, they gave the children a couple of checks, once in the blue moon. But what the family really needed, if I was in charge, was sit across and tell the Attorney General and our government, write these people a check. Let's respect this mother. Let's respect all of these mothers. That's a mother of 5. Let's respect. That should be on top of the budget. Let's make sure that these children have the future, because you know what? They're Caymanian children. I can tell you, if those children were white with blue eyes, it would have been a different story. And had they been belonging to someone prominent, and it was their mother that had disappeared, or someone affluent in society, some socialite, some millionaire or whatever, it would have been a different story. But because these people are Black, they're from Georgetown, and you would call that these are not the highly educated people. They're looked down on, and it's wrong. I'm going to say it again. It is wrong. And Cayman, we need to change this. And if this is not going to be taken care of, we will be meeting, hopefully, with the governor in the new year, the family, and the lawyers, and we will be asking just exactly what I've been asking for. And if this does not go, then we go to the next step, Plan B and Plan C. But I will definitely be bringing a march for women to stand together, those that are mothers with children. And for those mothers that have gone through every single thing to bring a child here, to remember that your child must not be bullied by politician or anyone. Stand against it. You don't know how to do it. If they're a civil servant, they go to the HR and they make a written report and a verbal report. From there, if it's not being dealt with by the chief officer and also the HR unit, you go to the deputy governor. If he does not do what needs to be done, you hire an attorney and you sort it out through that avenue. That's how you do these things and make sure that your children are protected. And when I say children, I don't literally mean children, because even though, there's people that are 50 years old, there's people that are 40s and their 30s that are being bullied on their jobs. Listen, you are still someone's child and your parents. And that's why I want to stress, I want mothers, fathers, grandparents, whoever, get involved. Let these people know you're not going to destroy your child's life. Yes, your child is 50. Yes, your child is 40. But stand strong. Speak up against it. Hire attorneys against this. This is how we're going to stop bullying. This is how we're going to. And if you are the person that went through some of the stuff I went through, Sandra, why I'm calling out for heroes of civil servants and those that are the pensioners that work so hard. Let me just give you a snippet of some of the things that I went through. I worked for a particular person, and I would have telephone calls coming in that was so disrespectful to me. And I worked in judicial for 8.5 years with the judges. And I know that I could have this person arrested, but I would get telephone calls saying, where the F is my wife? I would have telephone calls that I experienced saying, tell my F and so, to do this and do that and whatever. To the point that I got and I said, look, let this person know that if your person doesn't stop this, your spouse don't stop this, I'm going to have him arrested and charged. I'm going to go to the police department. I'm going to lodge a complaint, and I'm going to have them charged for common assault. Okay. This is some of the stuff that I was going through in the ministry as well, where people were calling me mother and you know what the other word is, and bitch and all of this stuff. And this is the kind of stuff that people were going through, which I was about to get police officer, but instead I hired an attorney. So this is the kind of stuff, and I just want to put that out for educational purposes. When you think your hands are tied and you're not getting justice and you're being bullied while you've come in and you're working hard. And Sandra, just before I go, I want to just let you know this too. I'm a civil servant that gave back. I created 2 revenue streams in government. The first one was the Immigration Appeals Tribunal. I created that. I met with Mr. Donovan Evans, who was the deputy at the time. And I told him, since I handled so many different subjects in the cabinet office at the time, that it was really unfair for the members to continue dealing with appeals. And, definitely we should have a tribunal started. So it was taken up, it was discussed, and it came back and said, great. I was appointed for 4.5 years. And when I left and went into the Ministry of Education and became Mr. Roy Bodden's PA for a very short period of time, then I was also Alvin's PA, and then I also worked with Rolston. But way before that, I worked with so many others that that I told you, all of the other heroes that we had: James Manoa Bott, Mr. Norman, Captain Charles McCarnell, Mr. Benson, Mr. Haig. Those are the heroes that were back in the day that I started with, were great people, respected our people. I also started a revenue maker. I told Mr. Ebanks that since the volume of these things were so great, we needed to start charging fee for all the work that I did. We started off with $100, then we went to $250, and then it went to $500, and I think it's now over $1,000 per appeal. And like I said, it was something great. It is making government revenue. It is putting salaries on table. But Lisa did that. I didn't get a deputy governor's award for it, of course, but definitely because I didn't have the kind of boss that looked out and said, "Look, you've done it." So also someone that I saved her job, and I will tell you just a bit more before I go.
Yeah, we do. Just FYI, we do have another caller in the line as well. Okay, there.
Okay, yeah. Quickly. She was being bullied, and we stood here. When I started saying that we all need to stand together, definitely, this lady was being bullied in 2000, and I wrote a letter, and made sure that letter got to our deputy governor, not the one presently, but our deputy governor at the time, who took it to our governor and said, no, they actually complete an accusation that is going through for this against this woman. We're not going to take this and fire this woman if there's not enough evidence. Now, that's the kind of things I did. And we stood together and said we would close that office down if we did not get action by our DG and the governor. And guess what? We got the action we wanted. The lady's job was saved. That letter I can show you today. And I won't call names and stuff, just out of respect, and don't want to open cans of worms and stuff. But the other thing that I did, the other revenue making measure that I started was when the government came in 2000, for Allen came in 2005, and I was moved out of my job weekly and then taken over to education. Mr. Fred Spears, who taught me, so rest in peace, became my new boss. And we started the exams and testing unit. I was sent overseas to take over the TCHT exam. But we had so many people here that were doing law exams through the University of London and many other countries. We had the University of South Africa, we had Charles Stewart in Australia. I had over 50 universities that I eventually developed came to me and said, look, we're doing exams. And those exams went from $40 and the ACCA, I took over the ACCA, which was also a UCCI, based on the conflict of interest, having the syllabus and also doing the exams. I took that over as well. So I was in charge of all of those exams, or exams here. Also,
you're starting to get a little bit distorted. Sorry, Lisa, you were getting a little bit distorted. I'm not sure what's going on with the audio, but I'm having a little bit of issue following.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, the bottom line was that we I developed all of those exams for and it started at 40 and eventually went to 155 individuation. I had a team of invigilators that came and invigilated different systems on the computer. Then I would go in and log those things and dispatch them and then send them bills and collect the revenue. And that, I think, was nearly $1 million. And I think we have lost that because no one took the time to speak to me and treat me with the respect because of all the other stuff that I was going through at the same time. Here it is. We have lost that revenue, but we're here going through and giving money out all over the place. And we've lost nearly $1 million in revenue. The Attorney General, the Auditor General, no one has come to me and said, look, we see that there's a loss in revenue here. We know you were making money here. What has happened? See? What has happened? But I'm putting that out there to say, look, things that are happening here, we need to know more about. Investigations need to happen, and we need to treat our civil servants better. So I end with that today. Thank you, Sandra. God bless you, and happy holidays to you and your family.
Hey, Lisa.
Hello?
Good morning. This is Siobhan. I was kind of lurking in the background, waiting to actually join you. I sent a message to Sandra and said, "Don't let her hang up." This is Siobhan.
Okay. Okay.
I'm just ringing in, and I wanted to give you an opportunity to speak. And I also wanted to thank you for bringing so much of what you have brought to the surface this morning. In particular, I want to drop a dime for the DG. I heard you say earlier this morning that you were a victim of sexual assault.
Yes, and I'm actually with attorneys now, correctly.
As you should. And to this day, that same DG has yet to even offer a condolence. Yeah? I'm going to put this out there. He was very keen the other day. He was very keen the other day. He was very keen the other day. Give me a minute.
I'm fighting to save my life. 2 more surgeries, one in January and then another one to save my spine in the University of Miami.
Yeah, give me a minute. He was very keen the other day to arrogantly respond to me, to remind me when I said that these marriages of convenience that he had a whole spiel about were happening. I said these were happening from his tenure and was an indictment on him as the former chief, as one of the former chief immigration officers.
So much I could
right?
open up, but
And he was very keen to tell me, and I did say that, and I did say, I guess this is his new political run and his new thing. This was happening before him. But I am so glad that you have highlighted, because I would have had to say these things and it would have been alleged. You are a victim. You are a victim. And I'm so glad that you put it out into the public domain that you were a victim and what you suffered under his tenure. And let us remind the public, he is still there.
Yes.
Still there. You
Yes.
are not the only one. You are
Yes.
not the only one suffering.
No.
And there are
No.
more suffering in silence.
No.
Men
And my
suffering in
revenue is
silence.
my revenue is still being made there. to
Sorry,
help pay the salaries.
Lisa, I don't know what happened to your audio, if you changed your location or something, but it's sounding a little bit.
Sorry. Sorry.
Yeah,
Sorry.
almost like you were in a hold. So I know people want to hear you.
Okay.
Yes.
All right.
Right?
Sorry.
And I also just want to move away from that, but I just wanted to remind the public that I would not indignify myself to respond to somebody like Mr. Franz Manderson. He does not really want the public to come out, or his civil servants to truly come out and tell him to his face what they think about him. I
Let me
assure
tell
him
you.
he does not. I assure him he does
If I
not.
could just interject there, the day we have a governor that says, I want to hear from this civil service what they're going through, let them speak. The day we have that kind of autonomy here, or even just respect for the civil service, you will hear and you will see the Pandora's boxes that can be opened, because there's a lot.
But that would be representative of the people, and that would be representative of giving them a voice, and that would be being fair to them.
Yes.
Government is the largest employer.
In respect.
Government is the largest.
And equality.
Give me 1 second. Government is the largest employer in this country. And by far and large, we can say that the majority of persons employed within the government and civil servants are Caymanian. And this is what we do to them. This is what we do to them.
Not much more.
I was one of the first people to post, go back and look on Facebook, when I said, give the pensioners their fair share. Give them, if you're going to find the money, if you're going to find the money, the 10 million, whatever million, dig a little bit deeper and ensure that everybody gets a fair share. I called Sandra and I told her the same thing. And I said, they deserve a fair share too. They made it. They made it so that these Johnny-come-latelys can enjoy what they are enjoying now. I got up. I said, my grandmother served in the civil service for almost darn near 40 years. Served in the civil service.
Yes.
To earn slightly above the threshold that this government has decided she would not be or should not be entitled for this bonus, if that's what you want to call it. I don't know what they labeled it as. I said it's an indictment on them, and it is a shame. If you can, what you can't do for one, you can't do for all. The government is effectively the parent of the civil servant. They are the parent of the civil servant. You're going to treat some like princesses and queens, and then others like red-headed stepchildren.
Exactly. Exactly.
You can't do for all, you don't do for none. I would have rather them have zero than for pensioners to be left out. Okay? Don't forget that many of these pensioners, my grandmother included, my aunt included, gave her life to this country. My grandfather,
exactly.
Okay,
my father
gave their
too.
lives to this
My
country.
father gave 20
their
years.
lives to this country. When pensions came into place, my grandmother was, I would say, an old woman, but my grandmother was well beyond that any contributions to pensions would have made a significant difference to her life.
Exactly.
Okay? Well beyond that, when they came up with this pension scheme, and to now tell her that $250, that can't even buy her groceries. That can't even buy her groceries. And it is unacceptable and indictment on this government that they would do such a thing.
Ladies.
It is shameful.
Mm-hmm.
Exactly.
Thank you, ladies. Both. I mean, you've given us a lot of food for thought here this morning.
Yes.
And I want to wish you, Lisa, a very Merry Christmas and Happy New Year. And I
Thank
hope
you,
to hear
Sandra.
from
All the best to you as well.
Yes, I was going to say, I hope to hear from you more because somebody said,
Yes.
wow, she has a lot
Yes.
to say. And I said, well,
I do.
this is what
I do.
happens.
I have a book coming out as well, so it's soon. Once it's out, it's definitely something I'm looking forward to. But
yeah, I was gonna say this is what
Sandra,
happens when you this is what happens when you keep it pent up inside. That's why you must talk and get it out, honey child. That's why I talks every day.
Yeah.
Yeah, because that stresses you out.
Somebody will listen. Somebody will listen, and the truth will actually come out. And not the truth.
I am working with attorneys right now, but there's also something that I think that we need to do as Siobhan, as you rightly said. We voiced our voice this morning, but let us come together in the new year.
And actually do something.
Since we're the younger ones, let us put together a march and let us let the governor know that we've had enough of this system, that they think they can bully and do what they want to do. Let us get together and speak up for our older civil servants and all of our grandparents and everything. Everyone that put their blood and sweat. My dad was a civil servant for 20 years after he came home from sea. As a young boy, he went off to sea at 13 years old. So let us come together. And my two brothers as well. Let us come together. Let us march in white, like I did with the same-sex marriage out in town. I wasn't the only one, but I did a lot of work for that. I would say a lot of work I did for that. Let us come together and put something together so we stand for women and we stand for what we believe in this morning, Siobhan. Let us get together and do it. Okay,
thank you so much.
Goodbye.
Thank you.
Take care, everybody.
Merry Christmas. Merry Christmas. Thank you so much.
Bye-bye.
Yes, folks. I mean, I obviously see your comments, but some of you are like, oh, okay, we need to move on. I know it was a lengthy conversation, but again, this is precisely what happens when people don't have the venue to really speak out. And this resonated with a lot of people. I mean, I know some of you are like, okay, it's been over 30 minutes. That's enough. But there were a lot of people who understood exactly what she was saying and appreciated the call. So two important things, really. The first one being this mess of a situation that Juliana O'Connor Connolly and her government, because we have to hold them all responsible. They want to take credit when they do certain things collectively. So when they do things that, mess the system up even more, let's give them the blame collectively as well. So every single one of them have to take a part in this. They all sat down as part of the cabinet. I don't know who recommended this $1,500 to go to certain people, including themselves, and who did not speak up and said, no, we better listen to the financial secretary because he's told us not to do it now because we can't afford it. And now they've opened up Pandora's box and they've created a hot mess of a situation. So we're going to blame every single one. And if they had any good sense, they would have come to the people and explained what this was all about. Because on the face of it, this was just a vote buying exercise. But look at how it's backfiring. Damn donkeys. That's exactly what they get. So the pensioners are feeling jilted. They're feeling a way about it. Can I blame them? No, honey child. Like they said, pensioners worked 40, 50 years. Yes, they were getting paid. But a lot of them were also in a position when, there wasn't really much of a pension in place to be there for them on their retirement age. Some of them getting a little drop in the bucket for pension. If anybody needed it more than others, it would be those who are not working now and who are on a fixed income. They're the ones who really needed the $1,500. But you see, they don't have it to give to everybody. And this is why you do not make such moves. You see? But no, they wanted to buy the civil service off. And this is exactly what they get. And I mean, I feel sorry for Franz Manderson here this morning, but he got to take some licks because everybody's saying this is going to be a quid pro quo situation, even with Jennifer Ahern, that she's going to be moved out of her position where she should not be touched. And like I said, I don't know this woman from the man in the moon. So I'm not here because I like her, don't like her. I don't know her, right? But they're falsifying information on this woman as a civil service, making foolishness up, wanting to move her out of the way so that they can do whatever the hell they want with this regen project. And now, ironically, Mr. Franz Manderson, who has had to go to bat for this woman in the past, right, is going to allow elected officials to move her. And it should not happen. It should not be permitted. He should stand his ground. If there's one time, he needs to stand his ground all the time against these politicians, but he needs to stand his ground and say, not today, Bobo. The reason that you want to move her is a bogus, made up reason, and it does not hold any water, and leave the woman right there. I need to go back and look at my notes because I had it all written down in terms of why they wanted to move her, but I still don't get to it, and we can put up a story on that as well. These MPs, they get in there and they believe their ass don't stink no more just because all of a sudden you get a ministerial position. Listen to me. Kathy, McKeeva, Juliana O'Connor Conley, I don't care what your name is. I don't care where you're from. You're a Caymanian. We're all Caymanians. And it is our obligation to stand up for right and stand against wrong. And if you get in there and you're doing the wrong thing for the wrong reasons, and I find out about it, I'm going to expose you because the people of this country need to vote your behind out. Oh, Sandy, talk to Sandy. She got a problem with Kathy. Can you talk to her? Don't talk to me. Please, in God's good name, do not waste your breath talking to me about such foolishness. I don't have no problem with Kathy. I have a problem with Kathy's actions. Since she has been elected and she's a first-time representative. My God, what if she gets in a second time? You know the hell we gonna be in this country? When people show you their true colors, you better believe them. Don't give them 12 terms, 12 years, and then go, boy, look at where this person has gone. They are showing themselves now. Believe them. Cut them off early. 2025, folks, is right around the corner. Y'all better get it together. Start to make some better decisions. Because if we don't have principled leaders in this country doing the right things for the right reasons, we're all going to go to hell in a handbasket. And it's as simple as that. So don't be messaging me about Kathy. Like I said, I have no bones to pick with Kathy. The bones I'm picking is about her behavior and her apparent lack of a little bit of scruples. So until she can change that, and I don't know if a person can change that, it is what it is. I'm not currying favors at nobody. That got nothing to do with me. Y'all need to get over this foolishness thinking that for some reason, I don't like this person. I not got no time for that kind of foolishness. You're representative of the people. You got a job to do. And if it so happens that your character flaws, which might include duplicitousness and dishonesty, are getting in the way of your ability to do a job for the people, then we got a problem. And it's as simple as that. Don't take it personal. You should not take it personal. Good morning. This person said, good morning, Sandra. Good morning again. Can you ask for an FOI to see which department received the $1,500? Well, all of core government, and then basically any of the SAGCs, which would be the agencies that could afford it, they were told to go ahead. Well, not afford it. That could steal from Peter to pay Paul. Let's be very clear about how they did it. So I feel sorry for them because I know some of them were not in a position to do it. The HSA is a prime example. They have just gone through this amazing exercise to get JCS accreditation? JCI accreditation, right? That took a lot. They've had to hire new staff members. They got a lawyer on board now, all this kind of stuff. Going through this whole exercise with their staff, getting everybody's credentials, this, that, the next thing, blah, blah, blah. Adding new equipment, expansion of this. They have done a lot of work and spent a lot of money. They didn't have the money. But of course, they're also, I think, one of the largest agencies in terms of their staff complement. I think it's over 1,000 people, right? So all of a sudden now they felt the pressure and the obligation to find the money because of what Juliana O'Connor Conley has done. Like I said, she's opened Pandora's box. And I'm glad that it's actually backfiring in her behind. Because when you're fiscally irresponsible, you don't have no common sense, you don't have any money or budgeting sense, this is exactly what happens. You're creating more of a problem than not. And then you have the audacity to go raiding funds because you're not got no money? Jeez, and peace. I mean, listen, like I said, I'm no financial wizard, but it don't take one to know that if you have to go raid a fund to pay the operational costs of DEH so that they can pay staff salaries, you don't have money to give out any extra $1,500 to nobody. And yes, it adds insults to injury that they themselves, the MPs and the ministers, have also taken and gotten the $1,500. I bet you they wouldn't refuse it. This person says, I'm hearing some horror stories because the girls and boys home staff did not receive any. They were told in an email that they do not have the budget. Of course they don't. Nobody in government had the budget. That is the truth. The person goes on to say, oh, don't read this on air. Oh, honey child, you should have said that first. Oh, and the next part? The next part you don't want to read on it. Yeah, if you don't want something read on air, say that first. Good morning, caller.
Morning, Sandra. Let's have some fun this morning.
Hey, you. What's going on?
Anybody wishing PPM was still in power this morning?
Not really.
I gone.
But Julie is PPM. What are you talking about?
Huh?
She is PPM.
I talking about the real progressive.
Oh, here,
real,
you know.
The real.
The real, not the... she the fake one then.
No, I talking about Alden, Roy, this one, that one. I bet you a lot of people wishing they were still in power.
I don't think so.
After these jokers here. You don't think so?
Nah.
I know it wasn't this bad.
But listen, they've been in power for 12, 15 years. So
it still wasn't this bad here.
How did we get here? We didn't get here in 2 years, you know. They're making poor decisions that's definitely going to impact us. But where we are now, you have to blame the people who were just in there for this hot mess. I'm just saying.
Take care, darling.
Thank you, baby. I appreciate it. And Merry Christmas, darling, when it comes.
Same to you, man.
I hope to see your pictures up of some food that you're going to be fixing up on the brack.
I don't cook no more. I retired with everything.
That lie. You not cooking? Oh, no. My goodness. Well, somebody cooking. Merry Christmas.
Same to you, Mom.
I need to see that Cayman style beef in the brack. Well, you say he retired from cooking. Not the retirement. So do y'all want PPM back? Somebody on the WhatsApp said no. Miss Vernita says, if you didn't get abused sexually, I got it emotionally. That's why I left government from 1995. They can't handle the truth. I said, I won't give up my morals and values for weak-minded people. Lord have mercy. Tiana, good morning. She says that there's a great deal of suppression in all government and statutory authorities that instills fear in all employees. Speaking up or making complaints will have serious negative effects against person who complain in either personal or professional capacity. Speaking of that, Tiana, I did receive an email. I haven't gotten a chance to share it on air yet, but I did receive an email from someone who works at SEMA. And geez, peace. I can tell you it is a long, very long and detailed complaint about what's happening over at SEMA. We're going to have to tackle that one in the new year because I was just like, oh my God. No, sir. Leroy says, all the civil servants did with that money was went shopping in Miami and Juju extended the duty to $1,000. Well, I personally didn't mind the duty extension, but yes, that was certainly encouraging them to go and spend a little $1,500 instead of them paying it on the mortgage. By the way, I cannot call his name, but he's a civil servant. He'll know when he hears this. But he messaged me the other day. Sorry. And he said, Sandy, let me just go back now. Oh gosh, where's the message? I just messaged him. He said, I was just about to text you. Hold on. I need to find that message. Hold on. I want to read this to y'all to give you some hope. And he not knowing big time salary job, you know, but this is what he said a couple days ago. He said, morning. Let me see. Where's that message? Hold on, maybe I need to go back a little bit further. Where's the message? Oh yeah, he's tell Chris Saunders don't bring him no fruitcake this year. Oh yes. So Monday he said, I paid off my land loan today. I was like, what? Congrats. He says, yes, took my $1,500 and threw it towards a loan, just like you said. Oh my God, look at that. And he paid it off. Can we get a round of applause? Where's my little applause button? Yes. Good job. Yes. That is one Caymanian that did something good with his $1,500. Now he's got a piece of land that's free and clear from the bank, honey child. I love it when people are fiscally responsible. Tiana says bullying is not frowned upon in government, statutory authorities, sadly. Oh, Lord have mercy. That's sad. Cayman Action Committee, good morning. Cameron, hi, Merry Christmas, says it's not only our right, it's our duty as Caymanians. Leroy says, clean out all the closets, honey child. I know, so much dirt in there. I hate dirt. But child, we gonna be sweeping from now until God knows when, trying to clean out the mess that we're in. Lord Jesus, I'm just like sweeping. I need the sweeper and the vacuum. Because you know the thing about when you sweep dirt, you know what happens, right? It just goes into the air. It disperses into the air. So the worst thing you can actually do is to sweep dirt because it disperses into the air, into particles, and then it lands on your furniture and walls and all kind of stuff. The best thing to use for dirt, just a little cleaning tip, is get yourself a good vacuum with a lot of suction. And you put that on that floor, honey child, and you vacuum it all up. So we're not going to sweep their behinds out. We're going to vacuum them up. Yep. So yes, my brother, I'm very, very proud of you. I'm so happy that you have paid off your land loan. Wanda says, do you think Juliana cares what we all think? Well, apparently she cares enough to be bending the law to adversely take somebody's property and cancel a commercial contract to be able to help somebody who refuses to pay their loans. And so the questions, even last night, I was saying to another politician, I said, how is this going to work? Is this government going to pay the $200,000 plus that I hear this man owes to CIDB? So they're going to pay off the bad debt and then turn around and pay this man for the land? So they're going to pay for it multiple times? Is that what's going to happen? You see, this is where y'all need to pay attention. This government, I mean, I hear you, Curtis, but the problem is we don't want this government, but no, sir. Their actions leave a lot to be desired. Rough Sea says there's a few ways Cayman government could make money to give every Caymanian free healthcare and money, but to make that happen, there are a few things the people in government must have to change to make it happen. Miss Joy Sand says no to bringing PPM back. Shamika says no way. Siobhan says heck no for PPM. Curtis laughing with all these no's. Boy, Curtis, the people don't want PPM. I'm sorry for you. We got to finish voting the rest of them out come next election because we left too many of them there to still try a thing. So we need to get rid of Barbara. Sorry, Mr. Kirkernel, you got to go too. Sorry, Joey, you got to go too. Barbara, Joey, Mr. Kirkernel, David White, Alden. Who else is left? And Mr. McTaggart. 6 of them left. Who else is on PPM side? Anybody? Did I miss anybody? So, you know, any eligible and good people who care to run, y'all better get your stuff together. And Julie, of course. Yes, because she PPM too. Thank you for the reminder, child. By the way, somebody said to me that caller, Lisa, needs to get ready to run against Kenneth. Whoa. She not say she from down in that area? Does she one of them Georgetowners down close to the east from Scranton? Intelligent woman speaking up for the people? She might be able to give Kenneth a run for his money, you know? Lisa, I don't know if you're still listening, honey child, but that was somebody tell me to tell you. They said, tell her I say I must run down there. Take Central. Lord Jesus. Good morning, caller. Hello.
Good morning.
Hi,
Miss
good
Sandra.
morning. How are
Yeah.
you? Give me one quick second because I know you're going to give us a little update here. Before you get to the update, just a few more comments. Aliana says, whoa, no PPM, no MP, no UMP, no UDP, no more of any of them. Leroy's asking for some brownies for Christmas. None of these parties has made a difference in Cayman in 30 years, says Rough Seas. Good Jesus, what a hot mess. Leroy said he wants some brownies. Leroy, you working today? Tell me if you're working today, because I'm going to do a batch of brownies for a function later on. I will bring you some brownies today if you're working. Hunter says we need to address the overpopulation happening in Cayman. Too much people. I didn't sign up for this. I don't think we have an overpopulation problem. What we have is more of an allocation problem. Live, thank you very much. Says that we can come together to donate some money to purchase this home. 40,000 Caymanians times $15 equals $600,000. Live, I'm confused. Let me throw this nugget out here because someone said to me, let me just read this message, that the government had supposedly given Miss Noreen a home in Bodden Town, but didn't put it in her name. And to me, that don't make no sense. So I'm like, huh? How do you give somebody a home and don't put it in their name? I'm confused because she did have custody of those children, right? So we need to do a little bit of research and figure out what is going on here. But there is a government home in Bodden Town. Let me try to see what I can find out about that. Life in the tropics said, I need some suction too. Another listener to the program says, speak for yourself. I not sucking nothing to do with or near Julie. Y'all so ridiculous. Y'all are absolutely ridiculous. Charles, we got to try and come to that in a little bit. Oh my gosh. I know former Premier Panton soon jump on. Miss Sue comments that some civil servants that got this $1,500 are PPM supporters too. Some of them from New Zealand, the UK, all over. Well, of course, I mean, you're civil servant. Garrett says Juliana is not PPM. She's whoever the winners are. Yeah, she's PIP, people in power. She don't care who he is. No scruples, woman. All right, let's move on. We do have a caller on the line. Good morning, sir. Patrick, how are you? Hello, Patrick.
I'm doing good, and you?
Yes, sir. Not too bad. So let me just remind our callers. So Patrick is the gentleman that we spoke with last week, Friday, I believe it is. It's been a week now. And he worked for this and what is it? CMH construction company. With Christine, and then the crazy sister named Dion, and the mother called in. Everybody was calling in. And so remember, there was this whole question about who had canceled his work permit and what had happened. Now, on Friday afternoon, I did go to WRC with Patrick. So Patrick, give us an update on what you found out since and what's going on.
Yeah. Good morning to your listeners and everybody.
Yes, good morning.
Was it on the 18th of December, which is this Monday past?
Yes.
I was having an appointment at the work. So when I went there earlier because I don't want the time out to miss anything. So I went there with my fiance. So when we were still outside, one of the officers came and draw me and my fiance from the queue, and we go one side, and he was like, after he did his investigation, what he found out was, I have my next brother who canceled his permit on the June. So the man was trying to say, my brother cancellation, there's some cancellation number that they used to cancel my permit instead of my brother's permit.
All right, so hold on.
Some registration number
just a second, Patrick, because I'm a little bit confused. So I know that when I went to you, they told you that there was nothing recorded on your file for anybody else canceling your work permit but you in December. And you were confused by that because you were told by two different people.
Yeah.
Someone at the counter staff and WRC, and then over at CBC, they also told you that your employer had canceled your work permit and therefore you had overstayed. You're now saying, let me just understand what you just said to me. You are now saying that the confusion is they confused you and your brother? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, that's what the man was trying to say.
How do
and
they
even
do
my
that?
brother canceled his permit on the. I don't know. And even my brother permit was cancelled on the June, and it affects my permit on November. And even if it missed, I asked the man that, so if this happened or this is the case, and my brother cancellation and some permit number and change, so how come my brother permit got cancelled and put in time and go put now we have 3 months and 1 year permit? So how come it affects my permit too? And he was saying that's what his research he find it out.
Was this the same
was this that he sent?
Sorry, was this the same compliance officer that we spoke with on Friday?
Yeah, Mr. Solomon.
So how did they confuse you and your brother though? Don't you have different birthdays? I mean, even if you have what's your brother's name? What's your brother's first name?
Isaac.
Isaac. So Isaac and Patrick don't really sound the same. So you might have the same last name, but you presumably have a different date of birth.
Yeah, we have the same.
Is your brother a twin? Is Isaac your twin?
No.
So how did they confuse you?
No, not twin.
Because when you
Just
go
my
there,
elder brother.
Don't you give them name and date of birth and this sort of thing?
I give them everything.
I'm confused.
So now it was the permit number and the registration, this is that. So, and even if it happened that way, how come my brother permit got cancelled? Because if my brother registration number cancels my permit, my brother permit or the cancellation is supposed to have some error on it. But now my brother permit was cancelled.
Oh my gosh. That is really bizarre.
After that, they sent me back to the work enforcement. So the officer, they saying that he have the case. When I went there, he was too busy. So he said I should go home. He will call me. So he took my number. So later on, he called me like he's too busy, so we should make the appointment tomorrow. So it's Tuesday, the 19th of December. So when I went there, he said, I'm giving you your passport, so you have to go for time. So I asked them, you say you guys told me you are doing investigations.
Let me just clarify this again. So they had wrongfully accused you of overstaying, took your passport, and now they're like, oops, sorry, we made a mistake. Here's your passport back. Now you can go get time?
What the so I asked him so what are the results of the investigation? He said he couldn't find anything on the system. So I asked him, so you guys took my passport and accused me for being overstayed on the 2nd of November. So where is the 2nd of November cancellation? He said it cannot be found on the system. So I should take my passport and go for time. If I have any questions or any doubt, I should go to the work department.
Let me tell you something. Something sounds a little bit fishy. Yeah, something's still not quite settling right with me. Can I make a recommendation, right? This is what happens. I mean, I'm not saying that human error is impossible. You know, things can happen, but I think you need to get an independent source to review this situation and really comprehend exactly what has transpired. So this is my recommendation to you now, because I'm confused. I'm a little bit baffled by what all of this is. I think you need to file a report with the Ombudsman's office, right? So that they can do a independent investigation into this matter and figure out how this really go. So they can independently speak to people over at WORC. They can independently speak to folks over at CBC, because it is quite a serious indictment to confiscate somebody's passport and tell them that they've overstayed for an entire month. And now they need to write you a letter and an investigation has been launched. You scared poor Patrick to death. Like, he's afraid because, you know, he looks like he's a little humble little fella. He's like, I didn't do anything wrong. I don't know what's going on. I mean, I'm sitting there. Even when we went to see the WRC enforcement guy, You know, he comes out, he went and looked at the system, whatever comes out. And the first thing he does is read Patrick his rights. And I'm sitting there going, what the what? When you hear any officer, because remember, CBC, WRC, all these guys, they have enforcement powers just like police, you know. And when you hear them in the States, they call it Miranda rights. I don't know what they call it in Cayman, but when you hear them read you your rights, you have the right to remain silent. If you wish to say something, honey, child, you need to pay attention. So when he said that to Patrick, I'm sitting there going, my mind was like, what's going on here? Something serious just happened. He cautioned him. He issued a legal caution. I'm like, oh, that means that you could be arrested. I'm like, what the hell? And he said, I need to caution you because now anything you say, you're under oath. And I need you to tell me the truth. And even poor Patrick, I think Patrick was just confused. He's like, okay. He shows him a piece of paper. Who canceled your work? I know, I saw your face, Patrick. You're like, huh? And Patrick was like, I canceled the work permit. This is my cancellation. But I was told by your counter staff and by CBC that there was another cancellation in the system. Lord Jesus, something really don't sound right yet.
And even that time, they told me your boss canceled it.
They told you the boss
me
canceled
right that your boss canceled your permit on the 2nd. Yeah.
And they even gave him a date of when it was the cancel. Now they're claiming that they can't see no cancellation in the system from the employer. Boy, I mean, I don't really believe in this voodoo foolishness and whatever, but people who do might be sitting there going, oh, that's why Dion went to Jamaica for. I'm just saying it's a little suspect. So that is what I would say, Patrick, needs to be done. You need to reach out to the ombudsman's office and ask them to look into this for you. I have a lady who's trying to call Empress, but I can't take a straight call and a WhatsApp call at the same time. So you're gonna have to call straight call if you want to jump in on this call. Yeah, it sounds weird. It's bizarre. Wow. So now they're giving you your passport back and they tell you you're fine.
Yes, please.
To get time?
Yeah. Immediately they give me even the back enforcement sent it straight to the CBC. So I went in there and they called me for the counter and they asked me the source of fund and all this, and they give me, I think, 2 weeks.
Wow. Unbelievable.
2 weeks time.
Something fishy. Something all right. Take my advice, Patrick. I can send you an email address for someone over because I need to file a report with ombudsman myself. So I can certainly send you their the link to do a complaint. But something not right. I don't know what's going on, but something not right.
Yeah.
Well, I'm glad at least you've been vindicated in terms of you haven't done anything wrong, but something's still not adding up. Oh my Lord, what a mess. So Patrick, thank you for the update. We appreciate it. And we want to wish you and your fiance a very Merry Christmas.
Thank you.
All right, my dear. Thank you so much. Isn't that bizarre, folks? I don't know. Thank you. All right, Patrick. Thank you. Weird. Super weird. Now, a lot of you are asking on an update from Gareth. So give me a second now. This was yesterday. Let's see if we can reach Gareth. Get an update on whether or not, what's her name, give him his money back. What's her name again? So we do know that she had reached out to Gareth yesterday and said that she was going to get him the $800 yesterday. So we just need to find out. Gareth might have gotten his $800 like Christmas shopping, but we just got to find out if she did indeed get him that money. All right. No answer from Gareth. Gareth, let us know. What a hot mess. I tell you. But anyway, she said that she was going to get him his money. Wow. What a hot mess. Wow. All right, we're waiting on Premier. I keep calling him Premier Panton. Oh my gosh. What a hot mess. Mr. Panton. Morning, Luana. How are you? Miss Beulah's here. Leroy says, I hope that he got the money back. Or are we going to Rick Ross and Larry Hoover on her? Oh, geez. Now people questioning this. This is why when you make these kind of mistakes, you got to come better, because now people are questioning WORC. This is what this person says. What I think happened. The husband did cancel it, and he has some connections to WRC who deleted the evidence. The husband did say he does all the immigration work for his wife. Someone's hands are dirty at WRC. This is France's first-class civil service. Let's call Mr. Manderson. He might be Christmas shopping. Poor him. I understand today's your last day to probably get a lot of stuff done, but we need to know truth over here on CMR. So let's give Mr. Manderson a call, shall we? Just a moment, because this don't quite sound right. An internal investigation has to be launched. You can't just plus an exterior one too. You can't make this go so.
You have reached the voicemail box of 34.
Mr. Manderson might be away. Hold on. Did he go off island? He might actually be. Let's call him on WhatsApp. Something not right. Something fishy. And when I mean fishy, I mean like mackerel fishy. Mm-hmm. Hello, Instagram folks. Oh, Lord. Somebody said, Mr. Manderson can't help you. That was my nice way of saying what they said. Lord Jesus, y'all not easy. All right. He must be tied up. Hot mess. Ay. First class civil service, this person said. Yes, sir. That's where it's at. Tavis says Beth McField can move Kenneth from his seat. She needs to run. I don't think Beth is like, I hate to say this because it probably sounds bad in a way, but I don't think she's a politician because she and McField, she got a short fuse for foolishness. So I'm not sure how that would work. But Cousin Beth, them say you need to run Central. Whoa, and whoa. Hot tamales, miss say. Somebody says, even if they deleted an entry, there should be a trail. Yes, thank you. I want to say yes, all of these systems have what's called, it's like QuickBooks. It has an audit trail feature in it, which means anything you do in there, they can see that you did it. So if you added something and you deleted it, the system shows that. So it's not so easy to delete like what people think. That is right. Thank you, caller, for pointing out that is quite not as easy to do as you think. Okay, let's give this caller a call back. Let me see now. Oh yes. Let's get this. So no answer from Mr. Manderson. Normally he answers those, so maybe he's like traveling or something. Morning, Miss Beulah. Leanna says, watching this hot mess from Jamaica, LMAO. What a hot mess indeed. Andrea says, the family, me I tell you, that family. Shaking my head. What a mess. Siobhan says, rotted. Leroy, here just some corruption as over there. We just getting there. Lord have mercy. This is serious, says Luana. You need a bang a phone, Sandy, with a different number. Laughing out loud. They know that you're calling. Oh, yeah. Like one of those burner phones. Uh-huh. Yeah, man, might soon have to get virtual number. Uh-huh. Tired up or ignoring you because One, he knows you're calling, or someone told him that you're calling. No. I must say, France always answers the phone, or he can call you back if he can. So maybe something else going on. Mankind Action Committee says the corruption is real in immigration. A report is made to immigration regarding an employer who took out a permit for a guy and charged him monthly. Evidence was presented, and immigration stated that the employer, couldn't be found. Ironically, the employer is now on the immigration board. What? Doesn't sound like they were hard to find after all, if they could get appointed to board. What the hell? Oh my gosh, sorry. I meant to mute myself just now with that cough. My God, I'm sorry. I'm confused reading that statement. Good morning, caller.
Morning, Miss Sandra. How are you, darling?
Hi, not bad. How are you?
Not bad at all. This is a fiance calling in for Patrick.
Oh, yes. Are you as confused as I am?
No, there's no confusion, Miss Sandra.
Oh.
You said it. The people of the Cayman Islands said it. And blatant idiots came on to the Cayman Island show and said it. So we're pretty aware. There are inside links. The immigration department is compromised. We have corruption deep within. He can't say it because he's a foreigner, but I can say it. Kaibonia. Bread, yeah. It's in there. I heard those two ladies on this morning. And let me tell you something, while they talk, the tears run out of my eyes. Because Cayman, people better wake up. We are in for a ride. All of a sudden, we couldn't be given the November 2nd cancellation, but yet his passport was held for committing a crime. And then in the no crime was committed. Here's your passport, will get time. Who do we hold accountable? I have no apologies for nobody. I have no apologies. Them people that came on just to get that they got inside links for true. You hear them, Miss Sandra? So, and believe some powers is here. You better believe it. Sure, because and the kind that a document cannot be presented. Inside crime. Corruption is real in the Cayman Islands or not. It is.
You're breaking. Sorry, you're breaking up a little bit there. If you're moving around, try and stay in one spot.
So what I have
because these
to
WhatsApp. Yeah, sorry, you're breaking up a little bit there.
Yeah, I'm dead serious in what I have to say, and I take nothing back. Corruption is real. It exists, and we are going to be victims of it. And the more we sit down and say has nothing to do with me, and I don't have no partake or no part play in it, or it not affecting nobody for me, is the more it continue to add up and add up and add up. I saw the comments this morning. Everybody is confused, and I want the people to know confusion is real, because even me was confused, but I started to put the dots together, and the dots make sense. We will be writing. If nobody ever write before, this is the first in my life I'm going to write. And please know we are be blacklisted, because this is what they do us in our own country. The minute we get the power to get up and speak, we are blacklisted forever. Forever. And this woman mentioned a politician name in her rambling over the phone with her allegation and threatening. And it's so funny that the very politician she mentioned is who sits for that board. And all of a sudden, the November 2nd cancellation goes missing. People wake up, man. Come on, people want to is on a sleeping or what? On a wake up for me, man. On a wake up for me. We sleeping or what we doing? Clearly, we over here sleeping. We are sleeping. We're at the wheel. We driving and sleeping at the wheel. So crashing is, and we definitely got crashed. Yeah, that's just my 2 cents this morning. I won't hold your time up, but that's it for me.
Wow. Oh my God. So
have a wonderful day.
Encourage your fiance, like I said, to go to the ombudsman's office, file a complaint.
He is scared. He is scared. Thank you. He is scared.
Oh, poor him. He can't be scared.
He is scared. The only strength he got is because I'm standing with him. He is scared. He is scared out of his wits, especially now with this documentation gone missing. The man's supposed to be looking at me as a fiance to get married in the future. Not even that he wants, because he's saying this don't look right, and I'm not guilty. I'm not a part of it. So now I have to build back a trust with my fiance because of what he's facing in my country. Check that out. But yet people run with the Cayman and want married to stay here and this and that. And this man don't want married to stay here. He don't want married to stay here right now. I don't even want to say to him, let's get married. And then it don't make no sense now. Because when you face something like this, imagine the first thing on him, well, imagine if when I get married to you, how would they treat me? What would happen? What I want is when this permit go in, if it got grant or not grant, and that's how you know corruption is real. I don't know it real enough. I don't know it real. I just looking for how much more blacklisting and how much more pushback and setback they gotta give us for us to understand. But don't take your eye off of them people. Continue to remember those people because they need to be coming up a lot. There's some really, really dangerous people. They are, and they know some very, very.
You're talking about the employers and
the
stuff.
Employer.
Well, I tell you what, caller. After Friday's show, I received so many phone calls because I hadn't connected the dots with the mother in the Scotia Bank robbery allegation, and she assaulted. Now listen to this hot mess of a situation. She has been in court on 2 separate occasions, charges that the DPP's office submitted no evidence for. Listen, I don't really believe in conspiracy theories. You got to bring evidence to me for me to believe something. But I must tell you that even this made my eyebrows rise a couple times. She had the same son assault one of her Filipino workers, threaten him, and then she physically assaulted him, right? And when it went to court, the DPP's office presented no evidence. When they know, now listen, it could be that the victim, just like your fiance, was too scared to testify. That could very well be, and they needed his testimony in order to proceed with the trial. That's entirely possible. But then she had another case for animal cruelty in 2020. And what do you think happened with that case as well? Got dismissed. So I'm really beginning to wonder, it is no wonder that Dion Murray believes that she's running the Cayman Islands and that she's the governor of the Cayman Islands and nobody can touch her. Now, I believe I saw her at Price Right the other day because somebody passed me and said, oh, you mentioned my name on Mall Road. And I don't know what the woman looks like, but I got a vibe that that was probably her. But like I told her last week, trust me, lady, I don't like to talk about paper Caymanians because I don't like when people do that. My husband is now a paper Caymanian, right? And I don't want nobody trying to insult him. But at the end of the day, he also recognizes and knows his place. He's not born yet.
But
you understand what I'm saying?
Let me put it. Yeah,
she look a little bit confused.
Exactly. But let me put this 2 cents in paper Caymanian or not. Those are the paper Caymanian that have been here a long time. Let's check it out and be real. And check out how they get you and check out who grant them papers here. You want something alarming? You want something to open up your eyebrows? Cayman people want to wake up this morning? Check them out. Check them how they get you, who grant them you, and check them when they goes down to go put in work permit, if they stands up in the line, or if it's not her husband that goes in his uniform and submit. I mean, come on, we can talk a lot, but where's it going to get us? I can talk a lot because I know a lot, but where's it going to get me? Where's it going to get
There's
me?
no way the husband can't go and submit work permits in a police uniform, though. That's not what you telling me this morning.
Well, like I say, if they can make a November 2nd cancellation disappear, they'll make what I say turn into a light too. But I know how. That's my 2 cents.
What a hot mess. Anyway,
yes,
stand by your fiance, child, and tell him he
got
to do.
Won't move it.
Yeah, he got to do what he got to do.
I won't move it.
Because right is right and wrong is wrong. That's the bottom line. Thank you so much.
And it's wrong. Conspiracy theory, wrong. Corruption, wrong. Thank you again. Have a wonderful weekend and
Merry Christmas. Thank you so much.
Thank you, hon.
Oh my Lord, what a hot mess. I cannot believe it. Woo! All 540 of you plus radio listeners, are y'all listening to this? I'm what's the word I'm looking for? Combobulated. Lord Jesus. But guess what? I know somebody who's not combobulated, who's not confused this morning. The Honorable Wayne Panton. Good morning, sir. Welcome. We're gonna give you a little applause. Woo! So good to have you back.
Good morning, Sandra, and good morning to all the wonderful people of our wonderful Cayman Islands. It's a pleasure to be back with you. It's a pleasure to be able to do anything. after what I've been through over the last few weeks.
Can I just pause you for one quick
and
second?
by the way, the word is discombobulated.
Discombobulated. Did I say
It's not so
combobulated?
much a good old Caymanian word
Just
in origin, but
yes,
it's a good
just
old
one
Caymanian word that's used.
I appreciate that because we be trying to do word of the week and we need to get it right. But just one quick note. This person says, Sandy, just a point of correction. They said Richard the son was actually charged for stabbing that same Filipino that she had beat up. The mother allegedly had him stab him, and he got off of that scot-free too. Oh my God, what on earth? Okay. What a hot mess. All right. I'm confused even more now. But anyway, Premier Panton, my apologies. You were saying that I was what was the word again?
Discombobulated.
Discombobulated. Yes. Okay.
That's the expression.
How are you feeling? I know we haven't seen you in a minute, and you had a little, you said you're so thankful to be here, but we know you had a little bit of an accident. Can we start off by asking how you're feeling and how you're doing?
You know, I'm getting there. I think every day that I think that I'm a lot closer to being great, I get reminded that I still have a little ways to go. So I'm doing okay though. I'm you know, there are a lot of people with a lot worse problems than I have. And, so I am just very thankful to be here. Very thankful for family and friends and the support that I've had. So that's really what's important, and particularly, you know, at this time of year. You know, that song, I don't know the name of it, but it goes like, you know, so this is Christmas, that time of the year, and all that. That keeps going in my head, and that is something that I think we need to focus on that right now. I think with all the difficulties, all the issues, all the troubles that people have, there are times that we must focus on those, and there are times that we have to celebrate with family and friends and enjoy the season, the reason for the season too. And so let's talk about some good things like that. I guess you know, I know I wanted to just touch on some of the things that you know, we've managed to do in the community over the last week or so. Last weekend we had our Santa sleigh ride through the community, dropping off gifts for children and stuff, and it was really, really wonderful. And you know what's amazing, Sandra, is that it's not just the kids that really enjoy it. We had so many adults that basically came up and said, you know, this is wonderful because this reminds us of old time Cayman. And there was a lady who basically, she had a young child, and she handed the young child to a stranger and jumped in the back of the truck with Santa Claus and Mrs. Claus. And of course, I was driving the truck, and I still not really that mobile, and I didn't get out or anything, but I was looking at her in the mirror, and she was crying. There was tears running down her face. So I had to call somebody to find out what was wrong, what happened with her. I thought maybe she'd been injured or something, and those were tears of joy. This lady was telling everyone in the back and Santa Claus himself that from the time she was a little girl, she always wished to have an opportunity like that to interact with, in her mind, Santa Claus. And here she is as an adult and as a young mother, and this is her first opportunity to do this. And I tell you, that really struck home for me. That, you know, no matter how old we are, there are things that bring joy to our lives. And, you know, it is just a wonderful thing to be able to see humanity on display in that respect. So we really, really enjoyed that. We didn't get to see 100% of the kids that were waiting, and we ran out of daylight really, and it gets difficult when it gets dark, aside from some of the mosquitoes. But it was really enjoyable. Really, really enjoyed it, and I'm happy to be able to get out. I was at home for 9 days, unable to do much, and I'm still a little bit, restricted in terms of mobility, and I have pain and stuff. But I am really getting there, and I'm just grateful it wasn't anything worse than that. So good to be here with you, and you and your two elves that are tied onto your mic there.
Yes.
When you do the close up, you kind of hiding behind one of them.
I know. They, I'm needing the microphone kind of centered, but yes, they're my co-host for the last couple days here.
Yeah.
So we do have some comments. Let's read a few comments here. Thank you, Jonathan. Jonathan also said the correct word is discombobulated, not combobulated.
Yeah.
Thank you, Jonathan, for the correction. I most certainly appreciate it. Cayman Action Kind Committee says, good morning, Mr. Panton. Aliano says, yes, my premier, welcome back. Luana says, Mr. Panton, good morning, sir. Alwick says, good morning, Mr. Panton. Miss Pat says, good morning to the Honorable Wayne Panton. Miss Beulah's here also saying, good morning, Mr. Panton. Rena says, good morning, Mr. Panton. Welcome back. Happy to see that you're on the mend. Wee Wee says, love you. Big heart eye emoji, Mr. Panton. Hearts again. Lisa says, the police husband is a common denominator. Lisa, we're going to dig in some more in that when we return. Allison says, good morning to Mr. Panton. Good morning from Debbie as well. And Siobhan says, laughing out loud, she called him premier. He's the only one for that title. He actually cares about the people. Iva says, good morning to you, Mr. Wayne. Glad you're feeling much better. Wee Wee says that you're blessed. Shamika says, good morning to the Honorable Wayne Panton, and thank you for the Santa parade. I loved it. Made me so happy, and my granddaughter loved her gift.
So
Vicky
happy to hear that.
Yes, Vicky says, oh, my sweet PM premier. Debbie says, wishing you a speedy recovery, Mr. Panton. Jonathan says, I second that sentiment. I think the one about you being the real premier, but anyway. Alice says, good morning, Mr. Premier. And of course, Al Ray says, good morning, Wayne. Good to see you up and about. So many people missed you. There was somebody else who, I can't remember who said that earlier. Let's say that you're I had mistakenly, it really was a mistake, a Freudian slip, whatever you want to call it. I accidentally said, oh yes, Premier Panton's going to be on the show today. And I was like, oh man. So a lot of people, Premier Panton, genuinely miss you. Here's another person says, bless, loving, good morning, Mr. Wayne Panton. Welcome back. We love you. There are just so many people who really missed you and missed, they were upset when this whole situation happened with you no longer being premier. What can you say about, and I know you're such a reserved individual. Sometimes I kind of wish I had your temperament. And then other times I'm like, nah, we're going to let all hell loose. But you are a very, I must say, what's the word that I'm looking for? You have a very, you're very even-tempered. You seem to just, take your time with situations and making decisions. Some people have been critical of that, mind you. Yeah. But I have to wonder how much you can tell us about what transpired. I mean, there was all kind of stories that, oh, you were at the hospital with your driver, so unfortunately you missed the vote, and people stepped forward and asked the other person to be premier. All sorts of stories were floating around. What are you willing to say to the people of the Cayman Islands now about what transpired and how you went from being premier of this country to essentially, being on the back bench?
Yeah. Well, I don't want to belabor the whole thing, but I will just try to summarize it with the relevant bits, from my perspective. I think, obviously there was, and the opposition have basically consistently at every opportunity tried to bring motions of no confidence. And, I think there have been issues with the government. There have been issues with certain behaviors, and I think that created a perception that there was a lot more weakness than there probably actually was. And so they consistently try to exploit that. And then we got to the point where we had one individual leave the government, and he went out and he was making comments about me. I would tell you, I didn't listen to everything that individual said, but I would say more than 90% of what I heard was completely made up, completely inaccurate. Now, I'm the kind of person, I'm going to tell you if anybody criticizes me, I'll say, yeah, that's not an unfair comment. I mean, you've expressed your view of my personality at times, and yeah, I mean, I don't disagree with that. I'm not an explosive kind of person, and I have deliberately tried to not be that way because I actually do have a very, very fiery temper, which I have had to learn over the years to try to control, because I don't think it's necessarily productive in all circumstances. And I don't like when I lose my temper. I really lose my temper, and I don't like it concerns me about the potential outcome. So in relation to what happened, we had that motion. The motion failed. There was 2/3 of the votes were required to remove me as premier. So that motion failed. We had the option of having the speaker at the time, Catherine Wilkes, to ask her to come and join the government. And that was basically in motion. But when, immediately after that, we were having discussions in a separate room in Parliament. And something happened which really knocked me for a loop, and that was my friend and personal driver basically fainted. He collapsed in Parliament, and that had a very profound. Well, seeing him and dealing with him and seeing what had happened to him had a very, very profound impact on me. And I was already exhausted, and I think I thought to myself, something has to change. And we have a situation going on where basically one person is holding up getting the budget done, and I have to do something to address this. So I spoke to one particular individual and said, look, I'm willing to step down provided you become premier, and I'll support you. And then that changed slightly as the hours went on, and I was at the hospital. Then I went home because I was so exhausted, and so it just went on from there. And and I'm an honorable person. I stick by my word, and although there was a change in approach, a slight change in approach, the individual that I was referring to basically ended up coming back to me and saying, well, would you still be okay if I was deputy rather than premier? And at that point, I was so exhausted and I was so impacted by everything that had happened. Not so much during the debate, because honestly, there was just nothing but nonsense being debated there. Completely inaccurate stuff. For me to get up and object to everything that was being said, and to say that the country was being led, the Honorable House was being misled, I would have been like a jack in the box. So I think the reality is that, my view has always been this position is bigger than me. The needs of the country are bigger than me. And I need to do something in order to break this log jam and put the country in a position where it can move forward and it can have a government and it can have a budget, because I was extremely concerned that more nonsense would go on and we would get down into Parliament dealing with the budget in late December. We would end up, going through Christmas and all sorts of nonsense and coming right up against the wire. We have a statutory deadline. We've got to have a budget in place because the government's authority to spend money runs out December 31st. So we had to have a budget in place. And I took a position to me that was right for the country. Whether it was at the end of the day, it's a position that the people weren't happy with, or whether they go on to make mistakes and do things wrong. That's not within my purview. That's up to them. But I felt I needed to take a decision, and I was, as I said, I was very, very significantly impacted seeing somebody that I have grown to be very, very fond of, to have a lot of respect for, somebody who had been ill previously on a temporary basis, and to see them in that state really impacted me. And I thought, you know what, life is very short, and I can't continue to have people around me who are possibly absorbing my stress because of the situation, because of the persistent approach. I mean, did the government over the last 2.5 years, did it get everything right? Did it do everything it wanted to? Did it do everything I wanted to? No. But we did a lot of things right, and we accomplished a lot of things. And then one thing is for certain is that there was never any embarrassment from the leadership perspective. There was never anything that reflected, some improper motive or improper actions or inappropriate behavior on my part. So that aside, we still needed to be able to move forward. So I gave them the option to be able to move forward and get things done.
Can I just pause you there for one quick second? I mean, the amount of support that you are getting this morning is overwhelming, to say the least. And, you often came on this program. We had our Premier Access. I was just saying this morning that I guess we're going to have to change the name of that to something else now. But, you would come on this program to reach as many people as possible. We've still got over 500 people strong on the live stream, and that doesn't include Instagram, which is our newest platform that we're live streaming the morning show on. But I must say that, again, you and I have very, very different personalities. And so sometimes when I listen to you, I have to extract what it is that you're actually saying and then break it down in typical cold, hard truth manner for my listeners. So let me just extract what you have just said. So essentially you said that you were willing, you're not mentioning any names, but by deduction, I'm going to mention some names here. So you said that someone who had left the government was out there basically saying slanderous things about you, because if 90% wasn't true, that's libelous, slanderous, whatever. I'm going to assume, and if I'm wrong, then you correct me, but if I'm not wrong, just remain silent. I'm going to assume that that wasn't someone who just left the government. That would have been someone that you fired from his position as deputy premier.
No, I wasn't speaking about him. I'll use the names. I mean, Dwayne Seymour left the government.
Him. Okay.
What was it, about 2 months, a month and a half, 2 months
Yes.
prior.
Okay.
And then, and he went on this, and it was very clear what he was trying to do. It was also very clear that he wasn't doing that on his own. There had to be others who were involved in this initiative. And then, of course, we had Mr. Bush, who finally left the government and basically made statements along the lines of the country is going in the wrong direction, the government is going in the wrong direction, this type of thing.
Yeah.
I'm still trying to figure out, based on the direction that they have now taken, how it was that the government was going in the wrong direction. But that's beside the point. Just that hopefully that clarifies the position. Yes, the previous finance minister and deputy premier, he had a few things to say, and the inaccuracies around what he was saying was that there were personal issues between us, and that he ended up resigning. Well, I think based on what I had discussed previously, I think it should be clear that he did not resign. You can't resign by WhatsApp. There is a statutory process. There's a constitutional process by which you resign. And he was given the opportunity to resign in accordance with that constitutional process. He chose not to do it. And there is obviously also a constitutional process that can be followed to remove someone who does not actually resign of their own volition. And that process was followed. So a subsequent WhatsApp saying, I've resigned is neither here nor there in the context of whether somebody formally resigned or not.
Okay. So I'm glad, you see, I'm so glad I asked that question, because I was thinking I'd forgotten, quite frankly, about John. So this was when he was going on his media circuit. I think he went over to Mario's show, whatever. And he was saying, I never listened to what he said, but he was saying all kinds of things about you and your government. And so you're saying that's what you're referring to as being, 90% inaccurate.
Yeah, I mean, as I said, I didn't listen to most of it either. My concern was getting stuff done for the people of the country and trying to improve the lives of the people of the country. I really wasn't concerned about sitting and listening to everything he had to say. But I did hear a few pieces here and there. One of the main things, obviously, he also made the statement in Parliament. But it's interesting that somebody with my personality, which you've identified earlier, is described by him as somebody who is autocratic. An autocratic person, I think, almost by definition, would never allow the kind of nonsense that that went on with him and the statements that he was making. That an autocratic person would have immediately come back and slammed him publicly. But that's just not my style. And if he was obviously saying a lot of things that were not accurate. And yes, I mean, if there's a criticism of me, it is that I don't throw a rock at every dog that barks. And I just don't see the need to do that. I think the public and our people are very discerning, and they can figure out whether somebody has ill motives and whether somebody is saying something that is accurate or not. Yes, there are some who will believe everything they hear.
Yeah, here's what I remember.
By and large, I think most people weed out those types of through those types of statements through a lens of their own clear understanding and their reasonable perspectives.
Yes. Well, I'm going to challenge you on that and say that perhaps you're giving some people too much credit. This is what someone said. I want to screenshot this because sometimes I'm reading these WhatsApp comments and I know people are like, did somebody really say that? Or is that Sandy? So sometimes I throw them up on the screen because this person has said, you should have been throwing boulders, not just rocks. Hold on one second now. Let me see where I've saved this to. One quick second. But, I mean, we have to clarify these things, Premier Panton, because unfortunately, I think that people do believe a lot of stuff that isn't necessarily true. So it is worth, filtering out exactly what's going on here. So this person says Wayne is too decent for these animals. He should have went off on them. And then they meant to say a particular word, but it said, duck them all. Now we stick with them. Now we are stuck with them. The outcome was expected from the night he formed the government. He aligned himself with too many immoral, broke persons who were willing to sell the country out for their own personal gain. He should have thrown boulders. And they said, no, the public is stupid. You need to answer the false statement. So maybe take this advice on board, Mr. Panton, for 2024, going into the new year and beyond. Good morning, caller. Welcome to the program.
Good morning. I just want to quickly say this also to my country. I want to thank Mr. Wayne Panton, who was our premier, for all the hard work that he did. This is Lisa Prendergast.
Yes,
I want to
ma'am.
thank you for all the hard work. I want to thank you for being a gentleman and not a bully. I want to thank him for standing strong for our people, him and Heather. I want to thank Sabrina for the great work she's doing with the hospital. However, there is one hiccup. We have a chief medical officer who actually changed a bit of the laws regarding you getting medication. And I really believe that should have been extended. Those prescriptions should have been extended till the end of the year. And I think more advertising and telephone calls from HSA and also our providers or pharmacists to people getting their prescriptions to notice. Because I mean, you're going to have a whole lot of people that can't even walk or depending on other people to come out and get a prescription. You got to get it in paper. You can't actually send that over phone. If we can't respect our doctors that we've had here for years that have saved lives and acknowledged when they have their signature on file, send in a prescription by the phone, then who are we? We cannot make life much harder for our people in this country. The 36% of us that is still here. We have to do better. So I want to congratulate Sabrina, but she needs to look at that strongly, that prescriptions need to be able to be sent over the phone with the correct signature of that physician, wherever they are, whoever they are, respect them for their craft. They have done many years to become a doctor. So we have to respect them. The CMO just and change things that you have to go and get an actual prescription in person and hand it in. No, that needs to be.
Yeah, we're gonna look into that because I think,
and quickly, I know you're ending up. And also quickly, I want to say thanks to Kenneth, also for all the hard work he did. Also Andre, everybody that did hard work. I want to say them and the civil servants. I want to say thank you and all the best for the holidays.
Thank you so much. All right, darling. Thank you so much.
Thanks.
We do have another caller in the line. Good morning, caller. Welcome to the program.
Morning.
Morning, dear.
What the chief medical officer is doing is unlawful. The Electronic Transactions Act does not allow a pharmacy to deny a prescription being submitted solely for the reason that it's an electronic transaction. That's against the law. They could say, well, I think, this doctor isn't registered or something else is legitimately wrong with it, but they can't say, well, if everything is well on the prescription, the doctor is registered, he has a license or whatever else. He can't just say, I'm not accepting it because it's electronic. That's unlawful.
Denny, I take on board, but the premier has limited time with us this morning. I mean, oh Lord, the premier. Former Premier Panton has limited time with us this morning, but I'm making a note of this because I do want to ask some inquiries about this and see exactly what's going on. And we'll circle back to this issue. Any questions or comments directly for the premier this morning?
No, he's not the premier.
I mean, oh gosh. Oh my Lord, for Mr. Panton, for Wayne this morning, the Honorable Wayne Panton, the GOAT.
Well, what he could do is he could look into this matter because this affects a lot of vulnerable people who are dealing with difficult situations in their lives. And this, if he wants to, make a significant impact right now on people's lives, look into this and agitate for the right thing to be done.
Okay.
That's what I would do.
Thank you very much. Appreciate it. And sounds like you're feeling better. Thank you. All right. 93626.
Sandra, can I just very quickly address that?
Yes.
I understand that the issue that people are talking about and the origin of that decision by the chief medical officer was related to a situation where there were people basically not breaching, but doing things, conducting operations in a way which raised serious concerns about the amount of certain types of medications that were either psychoactive or very powerful painkillers and this type of thing, that were being prescribed and made available, and apparently being sold, and basically the system was being abused. So this was a response to try to control that situation. But yes, it does have a huge impact on people in terms of convenience. Basically, the CMO's position was that if you require people to go back and see the doctor every month to get a fresh prescription, that will cut down on the opportunities for people to write long-term prescriptions that are not, and I don't even mean doctors. In some cases, it wasn't doctors doing it. It was others that were somehow had control of doctors' prescription pads and records and stuff. But it would help to cut down on the abusive scenario that was being reflected. But it is inconvenient, and it does impact a lot of people, and that is a perfect example of the innocent suffering for the guilty. And these are things that we have to try to address. And I have actually discussed this with Minister Turner several times, and asked her if she could have a further discussion with him to see if there's another way to try to address it and minimize the impact on people, because it really legitimately is very, very inconvenient. There are people who have long-term conditions that it's very inconvenient for them to keep going back to the doctor every month. Doctors are upset about it as well, I understand, because their time, a lot of them have very, very busy practices, and their times are limited. Anyway,
and
it is something that is being reviewed, has been under discussion, and I hope that a more convenient alternate approach can be found, which addresses some of the concerns, but is less impactful on ordinary people and their needs.
Just to clarify, someone who's listening and who's in the medical profession said that this is only in relation to narcotics. It's not every prescription, and it's not every drug.
It is not.
It is a limited amount of drugs. I don't know what percentage of
it's not just narcotics, but it's also more powerful sort of I don't know how you describe it medically, but I would call it psychoactive medicines as well. But it is the type of medication that everybody understands are the types of things that get abused. So the types of very powerful medication, painkillers that people have historically gotten hooked on and abused and all that. Those are things that we've had way too much in the way of prescriptions. I mean, you can look at the numbers of prescriptions that have been going out based against the population, and there are, in other countries, there are records that allow you to sort of come up with rules of thumb for the levels of prescriptions versus the population, segments of the population. And I think what our information was reflecting was that there was a lot more stuff being prescribed here or being made available here than you would see typically in other countries. So that's where a lot of the concern came from. And then there were situations where specific instances of abuse were identified. So it comes from a position of caring. It comes from a position of wanting to try to control and stop abuse that was going on. It wasn't that the chief medical officer just made something up because he felt it's just a good idea off the cuff. No, he was trying to abuse a genuine, real concern.
He was trying to address, not abuse.
Sorry. Yeah, he was trying to address.
Yes.
Pardon me. Thank you for sometimes words come out and we don't even recognize it or realize that we've said something different.
Yeah.
It was at the time that I was trying to point out to my uncle when I was fishing with him that that there was a pelican in the water next to the boat, and I kept saying to him, "You see that penguin there?" You know, and I said to him about 5 times, "Can't you see that penguin?" And he kept saying to me, "Penguin? I don't see any penguin." And then about the 5th or 6th time, I said, "Can you see that pelican?"
Yeah.
It was only then that it clicked in my head that I was calling a pelican a penguin. So I said to him, then I said, "Look, you could have stopped all this by saying, I don't see a penguin, I see a pelican."
We have another caller.
So abused. Anyway, aside.
Yes.
Yeah.
Caller.
So that's where that comes from.
Okay. And for somebody said it also includes steroids, and that is, I guess there's a wider group of people who are being prescribed steroids. Caller, your question or comment this morning. Good morning.
Good morning, Sandra. Good morning, Mr. Panton.
Morning,
Good morning, sir.
Yes, sir. Mr. Panton, with the perspective after your experience thus far in this administration and in this electoral cycle, and the reality, Mr. Panton, that our electorate here in the Cayman Islands, of which I am one single member, and the reality that we in Cayman, Mr. Panton, have a situation because of our subjugation to the British system of Westminster parliamentary democracy. We, the electorate, do not have the ability, which I believe we deserve, to be the ones who choose our leadership at the highest of levels. Speaking directly, Mr. Panton, to the fact that our electoral process, our system of decision-making processes is not representing us here in the Cayman Islands. We now have another situation, another scenario where somebody who nobody asked for that individual to be at the helm of Cayman Islands governmental administration, finding herself in there by hook and crook. I would like to know your personal opinion, sir. Do you see the need for Cayman, and are you willing to stand for, if you do see the need, for Cayman to look forward, to evolve, and make the necessary changes for us, the electorate, to be the ones who choose who our premier is to be or not to be, to the explicit exclusion of anyone and everyone else, including specifically the members of parliament, sir? Because you've been in the mix of this, you've seen it, you dealt with it, you tried to come up with an amalgamation. You brought on people, Mr. Panton, who I know, you know the quality of character and the lack thereof of those individuals who I do not even need to name. And we see the mess that Cayman is in now as a result, sir. So I'm going to ask you, in a retrospective perspective, Mr. Panton, are you willing to help Cayman move forward, to evolve, so that our democracy can begin to evolve to a better place where we need to be, so we can actually, the electorate, feel like we are actually being represented? Because I can tell you right now, sir, and I only speak for myself, but I believe that a lot of people feel the same way. We are not being represented.
All right. Thank you so much, caller.
Okay.
So I guess the question really is one of where we go from here. What do you see as your role now that you're no longer premier, you're no longer even a minister? What can the people expect from you?
Well, I mean, as I've said in my statement previously, well, I think I issued 2 statements. One was following the change, following me stepping down as premier, and the other one was in relation to me declining the offer of becoming speaker. I think I've been very clear that my interest is in representing the people of my constituency, and in representing the people of the country in general from a national perspective. So I will continue to advocate that position. We have an election in April of 2025, and we'll see where things go from there. No system, in relation to the comments of the previous caller, no system is going to be perfect. We do not have a system which allows us at present to vote for the leadership of the country, to vote for premier, and the Westminster model is one which has been adopted by many Commonwealth countries. A lot of them were former colonies of the UK, and a lot of our OT territory colleagues, sister OTs, all have similar models. It's a model that works, and it can work. Can there be within that model some tweaks? Yes, but you can't go that far too far without fundamentally changing it as well. And it's difficult to completely change it to some other model and become like a republic or something, without being an independent country. And at the end of the day, it is going to be, as long as we remain an overseas territory, it is going to be subject to UK approval, because it will require constitutional change. I am not, certainly at this point, an advocate for independence, and I would therefore prefer to maintain a system which is similar to the overseas, the rest of our colleague territories. I think it can work. I think the issue that we have had is whenever, and it happens, it can happen in any system. There is no perfect system. The issue that we've had is that we have had people who have, both from within and from outside of government, tried to influence things that happen all the time, try to influence policy improperly, influence it through financial leverage or financial encouragement. And that is what happened over the past couple of months. I'm not saying it happened with everybody. I'm saying it happened with certain people. And there is no doubt about that. I have been concerned for some time, and I've had conversations with the UK representatives that there's too much outside influence that seems to be reflected across elements of the civil service, and clearly it happens within the political arm as well. And I think even the current premier made some reference to, it was somewhat veiled because it wasn't clear what exactly the reference was to, but it was something about a government operating by remote control. It certainly didn't happen under my government. It didn't happen for me. I think one thing was clear was that nobody could influence me with money or favor or anything else. I was always going to take a position that I thought was the best interest of the country, the best interest of the people. And if it had an impact, whether they were family or friends, if it had an adverse impact on them, provided that it was I thought it was the right decision, that was just how things were going to have to play out. But that's not to say it doesn't happen otherwise. And there's too much of it that goes on, And to me, there's too much of an influence at times, even within elements of government. So we have, within our Constitution, we have commissions that are designed to support democracy, promote democracy, support and promote accountability. And I oftentimes feel that they are not working well, that they're not doing they're not delivering what they need to deliver. They need to be a part of the guardrails that help to minimize outside influence, that help to ensure that the right decisions are being made, and that special interest impacts or influences are limited as far as possible. Because whenever you have that, you have a situation where the interests of a few are being supported, oftentimes against the interests of the many. And I don't believe in that at all. I believe that we need to make decisions without fear or favor that impact positively as many people in the country as possible. And we're not going to get, not everybody's circumstances are the same. We're not going to be able to, there are not too many situations where everything you do is going to be the same impact on everybody's interest. But you need to minimize situations where special interests are being favored.
All right, we have a caller and another one trying to get on. So let's go ahead and take this caller first. Good morning, caller. Question or comment for Mr. Panton this morning?
I believe a combination of both.
Okay, thank you.
I mean, it is well known fact that Cayman itself thrives on our tourism sector, but it's also well known that it is one of the most abused and neglected sectors they are. With the minimum wage movement recently, one of the big highlights was the way in which the minimum wage affected tourism workers. My question then becomes, because we've now seen that momentum come to somewhat of a halt, and it's almost seemed like we've been placed on the back burner again. Why is it, or how is it, or what can you recommend as a former premier, so that we as the tourism workers respectfully get back our respect, because this country, quote unquote, rides on our back.
Okay. Thank you so much for that comment, question, caller. All right. So question relation to tourism.
Well, I think specifically in relation to the minimum wage, and there is obviously a minimum wage report which has been provided. I am not sure if that report has been tabled. If it has not, it should be, and the government needs to be considering whether and to what extent action should be taken in order to reflect either the full recommendations made or some decision which is based on those recommendations. A lot of good work was done by that committee, and it involved a lot of data assessment. It involved the head of the ESO, the Economics and Statistics Office, and so it is not something that is just opinion based. It is a legitimate empirical assessment that should support a good decision. And I think that the employment ministry and employment minister ought to seriously consider the actions that need to be taken. I saw a report suggesting that the minister hinted that nothing much might be done about it or something along those lines. I think that is probably a mistake. I mean, it's clearly not every report that a government receives may have full support, but I think something that reflects currently a minimum wage a national minimum wage for the country being set at $6 an hour for the past probably 7 years now, and I think it's 450 plus another 150 for in terms of gratuities for as it relates to the tourism sector. I think that needs to change. I don't think you can have a country with a national minimum wage set at $6 an hour, particularly when we have had the type of inflationary impacts that we have had over the last 18 months, or going on to 2 years now. Now, inflation has been tempered significantly. It is the rate of increase is coming down, but we have had in the meantime significant increases in costs. And if you put that against a picture where the national minimum wage is still sitting at $6 an hour, clearly that is an untenable situation, and I don't think we can have that situation continue for any significant period of time, because it's a farce. I mean, effectively, everybody understands you can't live on just over $1,000 a month, even if you're working full time. So we've got to address that, and every other country has been doing it. And I know our situation is, we have certain unique aspects of society and business in Cayman, and one of the issues is that our own people, they will have, I think there's probably a much higher proportion in Cayman compared to any other country around the region of families that have live-in helpers and domestic helpers and this type of thing. And yes, it will cause a situation where they may end up being required to pay them more than what they have been paying them. But if across the board there is support to raise wages for everybody, then I don't think that is necessarily that's necessarily a bad thing, and there may be ways to mitigate some of those impacts as well in phases. So I don't think that the government should just put down the report and say we're not going to do anything about it because it has impacts on some of our own people. I think the positive impacts across the board, yes, there is a risk that it does contribute to inflation in and of itself, but I think that can be mitigated by making sure that you don't adopt a rate that is above what is typically being paid and viewed as fair compensation. I mean, I think a lot of even government for years has been paying people a minimum of about $10 an hour.
Right. So, all right, we've got a caller on the line. Good morning, caller. Welcome to the program.
Good morning, Sandy, and good morning, Honorable Panton.
Good morning, sir.
First of all, it's good to see you go back straight away to engaging the public even before you're fully recovered, and I hope that you continue recovering well. I just have one point to make. If I understood you well, there seems to be some concern in Cayman about the extent to which the private sector is influencing government. Was that like the point that you made earlier?
Yeah, I mean, I'm talking about it happens all over the world, right? We have elements of private sector that have an outsized influence. It's fine to lobby. It is fine to lobby, and that happens all over the world. But in some cases, you have a lot more of that, or more than just lobbying going on.
Yeah, well, in fact, you've just made my point, but let me just conclude it. Just the only one point. You see, having worked in legislation for Cayman government and other governments, what you have said, of course, is correct. It's all right to lobby. It is healthy to lobby. And even when we used to write legislation for you, we would always want to hear from the stakeholders, the people who will be to whom that legislation will apply. You want to hear from them. But the problem, of course, is that in Cayman, what I have found is that the private sector controls the government too much. As a drafter, there were times I went to a private law firm to work in a committee where we are writing legislation. Even the optics of that are not good, but we were forced to do that. Let me just cite one example of how, in my personal life, I found that the private sector controls the legislation too much. I developed a little course on the legislative process to help people understand how to work with the drafters and how to control the content of legislation, for which you have to be trained. You just can't do that. Drafters are trained, but people who give instructions, they also have to be trained. I developed a little course, and then I also thought it was necessary to understand some of the principles that government applies, or rather the courts apply in judicial review. Because again, you go to Bermuda, they train their civil servants. They say, don't do X. If you do X, there will be a successful judicial review. So that helps both the government and the people outside there, so that their rights are not being infringed. I tried to teach those things. I was prevented from teaching them in government. I was going to do it for free. Then a Caymanian asked me if I could teach them privately. They refused to give me permission, and they even went to court and paid a lawyer $80,000 to prevent me from doing that. And that is because the private sector is preventing even those who wanted to help, like me, to do it for free. They spent $80,000 government money to prevent me from doing that. That is wrong. I think that you should not run. They should not run a government where they are trying to keep people ignorant. I was just trying to help. That should stop. I thank you.
Thank you so much. Very, very interesting. All right, folks. We're coming up on the end of our program here. The time just goes by so quickly. And I know the premier, when he used to come on earlier, he was always happy to give us, additional overtime. I think he's already done that this morning because he was supposed to leave at 10. So my apologies for that. Aliano says it's, again, piss poor labor laws. I did have another question that came in for you. Let me just see if I can find it. I can't remember where it was now. So a couple of people are asking whether or not you intend to run in 2025. Have you made any decisions about your future politically?
No, I haven't. I mean, I think, if I'm being honest, I'll tell you that it's kind of difficult to have concerns about things and to just walk away and feel like you are abandoning those concerns. You're abandoning your desire to have a positive impact on the lives, the quality of life, and the interests of your country that you love so dearly. So it's difficult to contemplate that, but it's something that I have to, discuss with my family and stuff before I make any decision about what to do. But I can tell you that I'm extremely concerned. I felt so uncomfortable and in so much pain, and I was taking so much painkillers that I didn't bother to watch any of the stuff that was going on in Parliament. But obviously, since Parliament, there have been there's been more press coverage, and I've seen some of that. And as I've felt better, I've looked at certain things, and I'm really concerned about some of the things that are being said, and some of the directions that I think are being reflected. The government, the budget that I was trying to put together, I think reflected a sustainable budget that was conservative, that tried to achieve what we needed to achieve, try to deliver and help the people without creating additional debt and additional burdens on the country. And I think where we've ended up is we've had a mix. We've had quite a bit of what was in the budget originally, but we've then had a lot more spending in certain other areas, including in relation to capital. We've had an additional $150 million that is proposed to be borrowed in order to fund some of this. My position was there should be no additional borrowing. My position was we needed to We needed to try to restore as quickly as possible the country's financial reserves, because there was good work done in when I was a minister between 13 and 17, and Minister Archer and I used to sit right together. Our offices were adjoining. We had long discussions at times about how to try to ensure we restored not just democracy, but restored financial stability in the country. And the government at the time, which was obviously led by Sir Alden McLaughlin as premier, we made difficult decisions to try to do both, to restore democracy, to restore good governance, to restore fiscal stability. And some of that was continued in the second term led by Sir Alden. And so the country, as a result of that, was in good shape financially, and that allowed us to endure the impacts of COVID, the pandemic. It allowed us to help people, and we need to be able to get back to restoring some of those things rather than continuing to borrow money to spend on projects that may or may not be priorities. It's all well and good to say, well, I want to do this project at the beginning of the year and outline this is what I want to do, and it looks like, okay, this is not unreasonable to consider at this point. But then when you get 6 months down the road and you say, okay, we've got to figure out what the budget should be for the next 2 years, can we have a submission based on what we've agreed as our priorities? Can we have a submission on the basis of those priorities across the various ministries? Tell us how you want to do these. Tell us what money you need in order to do this. When you get a submission which is hundreds of millions more than what you think the country can realistically afford, and when you have a particular ministry that says, I want to do this project, but I also want $50 million more in operating expenditures, the answer has to be, you can't have both. You've got to rationalize how you approach this.
Can I just ask you a clarifying question? Because you said that there was one thing that was holding up your budget before you were basically removed from being premier. Can we ask what that one thing was?
Well, it was, I don't think it's any secret at this point that there was concern within the government around the proposed new school in Cayman Brac, because the initial cost of that was at one estimate, and then subsequent to that, within months, I think 3 or 4 months, there was a subsequent indication of a reassessed cost, which had gone up quite significantly.
What was, do you recall the initial cost versus the 50 million plus?
Well, I'm just going to round up. Let's say it was, it went from 30 million to close to 50 million. So, there were concerns around that. And it's all well and good to say, yes, this is a proposal that was discussed and supported in principle by government. But when you look at the realities down the road of what you have to do in terms of a budget and what's requested for, even with the same ministry, for increases in operating costs, you have to make decisions which reflect certain realities. You cannot just say, yes, we're going to have a substantial increase in operating costs or operating expenditure for education, as well as have a significant capital project being done that some people felt, wasn't necessarily a current priority. Now, I was trying to be in a position where I could support that, but I wanted to be in a position where it was not something that we were committing to the country in terms of the budget immediately. You have to ensure that you have some fiscal space available to do some of these projects. That you can do it. You can do it if it turns out that it makes sense, and it turns out that you can do it while maintaining fiscal strength. But if you commit to doing something immediately, you've got to ensure that it complies with the various FFR provisions and stuff. And it makes it very difficult then, because you either have to know that you have certain levels of increased revenue coming in from your existing sources of revenue. In other words, those numbers are growing, or you have to find additional revenue, new revenue. Those were where the challenges were. You know, and if you have an insistence that this has to happen, you know, I don't want to get too far into the details of it.
I think we get.
There was you know, the difficulty was not 5 ministries. The difficulty was really just one ministry and one particular desire. And that was what was holding things up. We were in a position to move forward, and you know, there were suggestions that, you know, I'm not going to support the budget and this type of thing. Well, that would just have to be what it was, as far as I was concerned. I was prepared to move forward with the budget, but of course, all these various initiatives and actions were being taken to help distract and to help create problems. That also then resulted in the opposition thinking this is an opportune time to bring a no confidence motion. And in fact, I mean, as I said during my submissions, during the discussion on a debate on the motion, this is not the time to be doing this. We have a budget to get in place because the authority of the country to spend money expires on December 31st. And we have 4,500 civil servants who need to get paid. And we have you know, tens of thousands of Caymanians who are going to benefit from the things that we are doing to help them and help their lives. So it was not the time to be talking about having early elections. It was not the time to be talking about having a no confidence motion. But you know, that's what was being pursued.
All right, we've got a caller. Caller, good morning. Welcome to the program.
Good morning, Miss Sandy.
Morning. There.
I don't have anything political to say to Mr. Panton, but I do believe that you have to give praises and flowers to people, and your show gives ordinary people an opportunity to say that to their politicians that they wouldn't normally say. So I sent you a WhatsApp message, but I know you're getting a lot, so mine might be lost, and I really wanted Mr. Panton to hear. My message said, that man is a real OG, real goat. I admire him. When he talks about being in control of his emotions, it just makes me love him and admire him even more. If only other politicians would take a small page or even half a page out of his book and personality. He genuinely cares for all people that are on his island. This man is not normal. He is too good. I don't know him personally, but what the public sees is exemplary. I love you, my adopted, original, and favorite premier. I just wanted him to know that.
Thank you.
I just wanted him to. I'm a young person on this island, not Caymanian, but I watch and I see everything that's going on. And this man, they're going to regret their decision, because this man was the real thing. Mr. Panton, you are loved, you are prayed for. I wish you a speedy recovery and just all the best.
You gave me goosebumps. Oh my gosh. Thank you so much,
I
caller.
mean it. I
And
mean it
that
from the
listen,
bottom of the soul.
let me say it was it was so much more heartfelt and meaningful with you having read it than what I would have done. So thank you so much for taking the time to call.
Thank you for the opportunity.
All
Thank
right,
you,
darling.
Lily.
And
I
have a
truly
Merry
appreciate that.
Christmas.
Merry Christmas.
Thank
to
you. Merry
Bye.
Christmas.
Thank you.
Wow. Oh my gosh, that's amazing. Jackie says agree, caller 100%, and thank you for saying that. That was just so touching. I hope you know how much people really do appreciate what you have done for this country, and really do know that your heart is pure and that you were trying to do the right thing. I mean, she wrapped it up for so many people. Can I ask one final question? And then this person says, please read my comment. This one says, it's great to see the people's premiere. Oh my God, you guys. One person did send in this question, and they're wanting your feedback on this. So I'm going to ask you two more questions, and then I know we got to run. Everybody's trying to wrap up everything for Christmas. But this person says, question for Mr. Panton. Does he believe that there was political interference with the CIDB/Raymond Scott land deal referenced in a recent article on Cayman Mall Road? So we talked about this yesterday. I don't know how well versed you are with the situation. I'd heard this is something that supposedly came to cabinet. And basically, you know, this land was in foreclosure. They had a buyer for the property. CIDB had a signed contract. And through the Solicitor General's office, they have been instructed, I guess via the Premier's office, that this will now be subject to compulsory acquisition, because the government all of a sudden, quite conveniently, has some expansion projects that need this property for.
But I don't. Obviously, I'm very aware of the facts around that situation. You know, I've had many conversations, both with the current Premier and other members of the BRAC community, and some people here in Grand Cayman as well, on that particular issue, and I try to find ways to address it. The problem was that it was brought to us at a time when there was already a contract in place.
Right.
And when there's a binding contract, when there's a contract in place, it's binding. And you know, there is, as you know, you did law, Sandy. When you have a contract in place, many times it's just a question of damages, right? How much loss have you suffered if I tell you I'm not going to go ahead and honor this contract?
Yes.
And the court's job then is to figure out what that individual what damages have they suffered,
yes,
by the other side withdrawing from the contract, and how do we compensate them? But under the land law, effectively, there is a concept of specific performance where it's not just a question of damages. You can, if you have a contract that is in writing in relation to the purchase and sale of a piece of land, the purchaser can take the seller under that contract to court and get the court to order specific performance. And that means you have to complete the contract. So it is very difficult. We did try to explore whether or not the purchaser under that contract might have agreed to sort of back out of it, and then to see how else we could. Basically, I was trying to create a situation where others who were interested in helping would have the time to be able to put together a proposal to pay off CIDB, Cayman's Development Bank, and that wasn't happening. There was apparently the purchaser said, no, we're not interested in waiving our interest and dropping this.
Wow.
We think we have a binding contract. So I don't know what you're talking about in terms of government acquiring that land. I don't know the facts around that. But it does to me raise some questions, I guess. I think, you know, people don't understand that, and when I say people, I'm talking about people, even people who are in power and in position to exercise certain authorities and certain powers that are given. If you are given a power to do something, not only do you have the ability to do that, to exercise that power, but you also have a corresponding responsibility to exercise that power properly. And the power is given to you to be exercised properly and in appropriate circumstances. Is not just a power to exercise in any circumstances that you feel like exercising it.
My apologies. that required a kaboom. Thank you.
I thought that was thunder. So I don't know. I don't know the facts around that. But we had an issue that came up in the past about the use of compulsory acquisition in relation to private property, which wasn't for the purposes of roads and that type of thing, which is how we typically utilize compulsory acquisition today. And you have to have a specific definable or demonstrable public interest, and not just a narrow public interest. It needs to be a wide public interest. So I don't know. I know nothing about the discussion around that, and it's hard to express an opinion other than just to generally say that, you know, just having the power doesn't mean that you can exercise it properly. It has to, in the context and in the circumstances, it has to be exercised properly. And I certainly sympathize with anybody in any circumstances where their homes are subject to foreclosure. I mean, I have assisted many people in those kinds of circumstances, with advice and otherwise. And it is very difficult, but I think in that particular case, it's been a very, very long time since any payments had been made, if at all. So it was difficult. It was easy to have sympathy for the family, but it was difficult in the circumstances to say that, you know, this wasn't a warranted action or course of action by Cayman Islands Development Bank. And I will tell you that this is one of the reasons why I think that Cayman Islands Development Bank should not have a residential mortgage portfolio. I think the credit union and the commercial banks, and in some cases other private lenders, leave them to be involved with that. Government should, those are private sector entities that provide, particularly credit union. I mean, they provide excellent terms to help people. And I don't believe that a development bank ought to have a residential mortgage portfolio where we know that we've had too many instances over the years. This is why CIDB's balance sheet has been forever impaired, because political decisions were made in relation to this in the past. And it's too often and too common for the opportunity and the temptation to do it arises. You know, it's just not something CIDB should be doing. Anyway, that's beside the point in relation to this. I don't know enough about this to express an opinion other than to say generally, you know, that the power has to be exercised properly, and there is, I think, if you exercise the power in circumstances like this, or if you were to just decide that you were going to compulsorily acquire a piece of land to help a narrow sector of the public, you know, I think a lot of people in the private sector owners of land would probably be quite concerned about it.
Gabby says the transparency is what the people want. That's why everybody loves Mr. Panton. I'm glad he's not the premier anymore, because he can come and give the people the tea. Hot mess. One final call. I promise. Good morning, caller.
Good morning again.
Yeah,
Mr.
quick.
Panton.
You gotta make this one quick, honey child.
I will try, but I mean, we have these compounded situations, and we're talking specifically about the actions of those like Mr. McKeever Bush and the history of what I see as an abuse of power and influence in order for his own political expediency and interests. I mean, we need to have some kind of evolution here to be able to step away, Mr. Panton, because this constant abuse. I mean, we are talking about, putting Cayman into a debt for a school in the BRAC. Now, there might be a need for it, but it's not being done properly. It's not being done wisely. It's not being done judiciously. And it seems to me that this is part and parcel, if I read between the lines of your very diplomatic approach to everything, which is highly valuable, and I commend you for it. But this is obviously, to me, a result what has happened to you being kicked out because you weren't willing to play along with what is disgusting behavior at the hands of your colleagues who, sir, I really wish, Mr. Panton, that from the get-go, those people didn't deserve your company. I really wish, Mr. Panton, that you had stood alone from the beginning, because that group of people, far too many of in there, within PAC, they have brought you down, Mr. Panton. They brought you down. I think you, in retrospect, would have been done much better for us as a country if you had stood alone from then, sir. Because what is happening now, sir, is bad, and it is putting us on an even worse trajectory. Mr. Panton,
thank you, caller.
Look, man, I have a lot of respect for you. I hope you heal well. Merry Christmas to you and your whole family.
Merry Christmas.
Thank you. Appreciate that very much.
Continue to stand, Mr. Panton. Please continue to stand.
Thank you so much. Merry Christmas, sir.
Bye now.
All right. I keep promising that's it. Two more quick questions. The first one is, you were saying something earlier and you didn't get to finish it about kind of how you got where you are. And that was in relation to Mr. Bush. And I've seen a number of questions. Some people are saying, how is it possible that he's back as a parliamentary secretary? So what role did Mr. Bush play in the demise of the PAC administration?
Well, I mean, it's the PAC. It's the same people. Effectively, the name was just changed. So, what role did he play? Well, he went from basically, 1 week saying, "Premier, I think you are the man for this role. I believe in what you're doing. I've got grandchildren, and they are." I'm very concerned about the future for them, and I want to see a sustainable future for them. I want to make sure that we have a balance between a prosperous economy and a strong society, and a fair and balanced approach in relation to the environment, because we need everything to work together. To 2 weeks or 3 weeks later saying, "Oh, you're the wrong man, and the country is going in the wrong direction." So he left the government then, and that took us to a 9-9 situation. I know he has difficulties. He has he's in the midst of a upcoming trial, preparations for a trial.
Well, several. He's been charged with several different matters, but yes.
Yeah. But there's one trial was supposed to happen this month. I think it's been delayed
to January.
And he has a lot of challenges, a lot of difficulties. It seemed to me, based on what he was saying to me, that he had some financial needs as well. which, you know, it was always going to be difficult for me from a government perspective to help in that respect. So I think, you know, he was encouraged in some way to do what he did, because he certainly didn't, he historically hadn't been saying to me, you know, you're the wrong man. I mean, he would call me quite often in the past when he was at home and he was, you know, somewhat inebriated, feeling a bit good, and that's fine, you know. That's the place to do it if you want to do it.
Yes.
You know, and he would profusely plead with me not to go to the PPM, and I said, I don't know where you're getting this from. Who has told you that I'm going to the PPM? Anyway, my point is that somehow he was encouraged to change his view very quickly. Not speculating. I'm just saying somehow he's encouraged.
I'm going to speculate with some hand gestures this morning. Let me ask you.
We ended up in that situation, you know, and it is an untenable situation.
Yes.
But there was a way forward, and you know, the opposition were certainly aware there was a way forward, but they were determined to. I think they were used themselves. You know, they thought they were being presented with an opportunity to achieve one thing, and you know, they've achieved quite another.
Can we be clear on something here? You said financial difficulties. Were you ever asked for any money for Mr. Bush because of his financial difficulties?
No, not directly. But I knew he was having some difficulties, and he was. I think there were a couple of times where he was asking whether there was a way for him to be paid more as an MP, and I think the reality was, looking at it, that there really wasn't any way to do that. Not in any way that was appropriate or fair,
or legal, really.
Well,
I mean, because had you not just fired him from being Speaker of the House? Because
well, I didn't fire him. You know, when we ultimately agreed to move forward with him as a part of the government, I said to him at the time, look, this is your opportunity to redeem yourself, and you know, you can go through 4 years if there are no issues. Wouldn't it be fantastic for you to be able to retire on this basis? Imagine how, you know, what a change it would be for your family.
To not have a scandal for a change.
Well, whatever. But I mean, you know, I have always been. He has said to me that he was, one of the things he respected with me was that I was always very concerned about, you know, the impact of what he was going through on his family. You know, I don't think that they signed up, and it's a difficult thing with politics. Your family never signs up for some of the difficulties you go through. My family certainly haven't signed up for what I've endured over the last couple of months in particular. And so, you know, I think the bottom line is that, you know, I have an issue with him being now appointed as a parliamentary secretary. I think that is putting him back on the edge of the executive, the periphery of the executive of the country, where you know, he's had some difficulties in the past, and I don't think that you know, it was appropriate to do that. I asked him to step down as Speaker shortly after the last set of incidents for which he is now you know, facing a trial. And you know, he didn't do it willingly initially, but he eventually got around to. He eventually listened to dissents on it, and he agreed to step down. my belief is you've got to hold people accountable for the things that they do. And I know that there are potential consequences for taking certain actions, and clearly there have been consequences for me. But I believe that the decision that I take at the time, if it's the right decision for the right reasons, if it turns out to impact me negatively down the road, well, I can still live with that decision because it was the right decision at the time. It was the right decision for the country. So no, I didn't fire him, but I did ask him to step down, and he did eventually step down. I think it was the right thing for him to do. I think that what he did in relation to the government wasn't the right thing, but that's something that he is going to have to deal with. And I think it's quite obvious who was behind what they were trying to achieve, by who immediately flipped back on the other side. So we'll just leave it at that, and that's fine. That's government. That's politics. I am quite happy where I'm at this point. I am, I feel that. I mean, yes, I've had some an unfortunate accident in the recent past. I don't wish broken ribs on anybody, I can tell you that. But I still want the best for this country, and it is difficult to just ignore that desire. Let's put it that way.
All right. Oh, earlier this week, your name was mentioned in relations to some Tahoes. Let's just clarify this, and then we're breaking until 2024. But
in relation to
some Tahoe vehicles, Chevy.
Oh,
Are they
tacos?
not tacos. Sorry. Some Chevy Tahoes. The Minister for Finance and Ports, and I saw Mr. Curtis said, mention the Tahoe deal, because he essentially said, it was kind of interesting how he said it, but he said, oh, by the way, these were purchased 8 months ago. We've had them for 8 months, or they were purchased 8 months ago, or something like that, under the previous premier. The implication I got from that, although he didn't say it directly, is that somehow you authorized these purchases and you were on board with ministers getting these vehicles. Can you clarify that for us, please?
Well, if he said that some of these purchases were done while I was premier, then that is factually correct. If he said I authorized it, then that is not correct.
Right.
My position has been that if we needed, and I do think it was necessary to have additional protocol vehicles. My position was, if we needed additional protocol vehicles, then it should be done through the Cabinet Office, and they should be utilized in the normal way. I think there were some views being expressed that, and it sort of grew over time as well, that in other territories and in other places in the Caribbean, ministers are given their own cars and given their own drivers and this type of thing. And my position was, we should not just be spending money because we have it on these types of things. Now, I recognize that it put me in a difficult situation, because I'm being told I have to be driven, I have to have a driver. And there was already the Range Rover that Sir Alden had acquired a few years ago. And there was also a specific vehicle for the deputy premier. So, it was a difficult situation to be able to say, no, I don't think ministers should have vehicles and drivers. I think in many instances, they may be required and it would be useful, but I don't think in all cases. I mean, I went through my first term as a minister driving myself, and in fact, I remember very well that Sir Alden, as premier then, he drove his own car as well. And on this occasion, in 21, when I became premier, I argued that I wanted to be able to drive myself, and I wanted to drive my own vehicle. And I was certain friends used a lot of leverage on me, basically saying, well, you know, certain people are going to lose their jobs if you take that position. So I ended up giving up on that. And there were some, cogent arguments around it. Like, for example, what happens if you get in an accident? Either you get hurt, or it could be the other way around. You end up making a mistake and somebody else gets hurt. How does it look on the leadership of the country and all these types of things? So I gave into those arguments. But where I did make a decision that suited my perspective and my values was I bought my own car. I bought an electric car, Audi e-tron, and that became my vehicle that I drove and that my driver drove for me, unless there was some specific official event where the flag had to be flown. And in that case, yes, I would agree to go in the formal premier's vehicle with the flag and all this type of stuff. But my personal car didn't have a flag. It didn't have any markings. It was just driven by my driver. So no, I did not authorize. I knew I was in a difficult situation with that, but I didn't authorize, and I didn't approve the new Tahoes or whatever they're called being bought. And I also, my position in relation to drivers was if people need a driver, then they should be sourced through protocol rather than each ministry having its own vehicle and having a driver. Because I felt that it wasn't a question of disrespect for the ministers. I was just concerned about public perception. And it's the same thing that's happening now. If you've got a fleet of vehicles that ministers are driving around in, and particularly if they have their own drivers and stuff, people in the country, particularly at a time when the country's enduring significant cost of living increases, people are going to feel a way about it. They're going to feel that it's probably going too far. So those were just the types of concerns that I had and the kind of approach that I had.
So how did you become aware of the purchase of the vehicles? If you didn't approve it, how did you know?
I saw them showing up in the parking lot. No, I think you have to understand that each ministry is allocated a budget. And when that budget is approved, effectively, the chief officer has the authority to spend it. At with the, in some cases, direction or support of the minister. And that's what I think, that's how it was done. And it's not something that requires the approval of the premier necessarily. I mean, there are many expenditures that the premier doesn't sign off anything, doesn't approve anything specifically. It has to be some sort of significant project that requires its own capital allocation before the premier is necessarily aware of it and is a part of the discussion to say yes or no.
All right, let's end there. Thank you so much. This is the last show of the year, folks. I've made an executive decision with my two co-hosts here to take next week off, because we're off Monday and Tuesday anyways, official holidays. I said, you know what? I got a mountain of paperwork here that I need to get done and things that I must prioritize. So I'm going to take the entire week off next week. So I want to wish everyone, including Premier Panton, all of our listeners, thousands of you tune in to the show. Thank you guys so much for making 2023 an amazing, I thank you from the bottom of my heart. making 2023 an absolutely amazing year. 2024 is going to be even better here at CMR. We always believe in leveling up, always adding something new and something exciting. So there will be things coming down the pipeline, whether it's new equipment, AI. Remember, I told y'all I'm going to get on the ball. So we're going to be doing a lot here on, my apologies, on the platform. Former Premier, just Wayne, has agreed to continue his dialogue with the people of the Cayman Islands as a representative. He's still a representative for the District of Newlands, obviously, and he will continue to come on the program. We will sort out all the details of exactly how often he will come on and what he'll continue to do, because I see that you guys really enjoy having access to him, asking him questions and getting him to explain stuff. Somebody says, yes, call him Premier. Oh, Lord have mercy. Y'all gonna get me in trouble. It's the end of the year. They say he's still the Premier in my book. So listen, Kurt Christian said Wayne will always be remembered as the best Premier to date. And I thank all of you, all of our daily listeners, all of our occasional listeners, everyone, Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. I hope that you have the most joyous Christmas. In typical Caymanian tradition, please remember this reason for the season. Spend some time with your family and your loved ones and use it as an opportunity to reflect. Premier Panton, somebody showed me your Christmas message. I haven't had a chance to read it yet, but I'll post it up for you because they said this was like the most amazing message that they had read. So some comments for listeners today.
Thank you very much, Sandra. And I was supposed to leave, as you noted earlier. I was supposed to attend a road opening, so I will.
Oh, I'm so sorry.
I'll need to apologize to my friend, and I need to apologize to my friend and colleague, MP Heather, or Parliamentary Secretary Heather Bodden. The road that is being opened has been described previously as the Airport Connector Road.
Yes.
That goes all the way through land that was originally developed by her father.
Yes.
And it was being opened and named the J. Bodden Highway, which I want to say that we are all so proud of, because let me tell you, growing up in Newlands, her father and his brother, Mr. Hubert, they both put so much into the community, and they were, and not just in Newlands, but nationally as well. Heather has her love for community and her desire to see the place nice and clean. That's not something that she just happened to develop. She was indoctrinated. That was ingrained in her by her dad as well, Mr. J, who was very, very community minded, somebody who was, worthy of being emulated. And it is so fitting, I think, and I appreciate so much that the government did actually go ahead and name that road the J. Bodden Highway. I think that is so appropriate. And I want to say congratulations to the family, and to say that we share in their joy, we share in their appreciation for the recognition of what their father contributed to the country. We're so proud of what he did, and we're so proud that so many of them, the entire family, has continued to reflect that kind of ethos. I want to join with you in wishing everyone an absolutely fantastic Christmas. I want everyone to be safe. Remember the reason for the season. I want you to enjoy your families, hold them close, share quality time with them. It's less about presence, presents, and more about presence, presence. Spend the time with your family. Love them, hold them dear and close. Tell them how much you appreciate them, and tell them what they mean to you, because tomorrow isn't promised to any one of us. And that leads me to another thing, and that is every every year, well, the holidays are hard for a lot of people. You know, they're missing loved ones that they have lost, and it becomes difficult. I know my family is the same way. You know, I lost my son at the end of October in 2010, and I lost my father on December 26, 2014. So the October to the end of the year and into the beginning of the year is always a difficult time for me and my family. But it's a difficult time for so many people because others have lost as well, and others feel that pain. And it is a difficult time for many people. Christmas is a high pressure time, a high emotion time, and I want people to just enjoy it and try to relax. But I want all of us to be mindful of those around us that need our support as well. So let's be there for our neighbors. Let's be there for our brothers and sisters. Let's show them the love and care that we have as a community. And let's try to be careful on the roads, because it's another thing that really hurts me is, you know, waking up and hearing about somebody who's lost their lives on the road when, you know, it should be a joyous time of the year for everybody. Let's not drink and drive. Let's drive carefully. Let's be courteous. Let's, you know, show kindness on the roads. In Cayman, if you speed around, you might get to some place a minute before somebody else does. But in doing that, you might endanger your lives and the lives of other people. So please, let's be responsible. Let's all try to get into 2024 together. Let's show the love. Let's share the love. Let's all be safe. Thank you very much, Sandra. I'm happy to have the opportunity to be back on the show with you. As you said, I intend to continue being available to people as regularly as I can. And I will try to do it on other media as well. I mean, I have to talk to OC to find out whether and when he'll let me on Radio Cayman as well. But your show is one that I think reaches a lot of people, and the format is very convenient, and you do a fantastic job. I've always said to you, you know, the work that you did, particularly during COVID and stuff, has always been a real highlight for me of the value of your show and the way you approach things. Yes, there are times when people will criticize you, and yes, there are times when I think, you know, you let the best of your emotions get you. But, you know, none of us are perfect, and I think the value of your show is vastly greater than any sort of negatives or any issues that come up from time to time. So thank you all very much. God bless our wonderful Cayman Islands and all of the people who live here and all of our fellow Caymanians. Love you all, and let's try to continue to be the wonderful country that we are, and let's get through the holidays safely and love each other and care for each other.
Thank you so much, Wayne. I almost said Premier Panton again. All right. Thank you so much, Wayne. We really appreciate that. I want to read one final comment, folks, before we go ahead and break for the day. I thought this one was quite interesting, and I think Wayne might chuckle at this. Part of what this person says, they said, Mr. Panton, I'm so sorry to hear of your injuries. I'm glad that you're feeling better. You look so much better as the stress of those cutthroats is behind you. You look fresh and so cool. Take care of yourself. And if you don't take care of you, who else will? Merry Christmas to you and your family. And, you know, they went on to make some other comments about the Minister of Labor and Border Control not paying his pension and insurance. So maybe, you know, they need to get that under control. Folks, again, thank you for 2023. I think we're so blessed. We have another week, a couple more days till Christmas. Christmas is Monday, and then another week till the end of the year. I'm trying to take time off, but you know me, I can't promise that I might not squeeze in a little live stream here and there, but I really do want to spend some good quality time with my family as well. And I do have a lot of work, other things that I must get done. But what do I see for 2024? I think it's going to be an amazing year. I'm always optimistic, always try to be positive. about where we're going and what we're doing. I think just the opportunity to have this dialogue and this, just relationship that you and I and all of us have developed, I think is truly amazing. I've got some brownies to bake. So Leroy, I'm coming for you with some brownies there. But he was like, wait a minute, why is Leroy getting brownies? Don't worry. I will be making brownies. And at some point, everybody's going to get a brownie. So thank you all so much. But I've got to make some mac and cheese for another function today as well. But yes, I just want to extend, my gratitude for what has been an amazing year. Wishing all of you a happy Christmas. I still have a Christmas tree, a live Christmas tree that isn't even decorated. And our daughter was saying last night, if you don't decorate it, Santa's not going to come. So Dad said, okay, we're going to do it this weekend. So we got a lot to do around here. You know what? I also want to share the sentiment with Premier Panton. Some people said, where he said, it's not about the presents that you're putting under the tree, but it's about being present with your family and your loved ones. This year, I'm truly not buying much of anything. I am not expecting anything. I'm just happy for life and health and for all of the amazing things that I was able to accomplish in 2023. Because I must tell you, it was an amazing year for me. I mean, everybody can complain, but I'm certainly not going to complain because I have been able to do something that probably in a million years I didn't think that I would be able to do. And I want to thank, there's always people behind the scenes who make it possible. So I do want to thank one person in particular who has been, offered so much guidance through this process. I keep telling you guys about a new business venture, and it would not have been possible if I didn't have someone amazing to be there for me. And his name is Mr. Dale Crichton. And so Dale, I'm sure everybody's going to mention this to you now. And, I don't have to give you guys the details, but he's an amazing individual. And he has really stepped forward when he didn't have to help me in an amazing way. Everything from advice, picking up a phone call saying, hey, this is how we're going to make this deal happen. And so many other ways. Dale, I thank you from the bottom of my heart. I know that you help so many people in this community, and you're just one of those silent people that just move and do what you have to do. And a lot of people don't know about it, and you're okay with that. But I want to just extend a very, very Merry Christmas to you and your family, your sister Tammy as well. Just really amazing Caymanians who nothing is taken off of their back by helping another Caymanian, helping someone who is up and coming. To all of my friends, I tell you, I'll only have about 4 or 5 of them. I can count them on one hand. Merry Christmas to all of you. Merry Christmas to Mary, Miss Irma, Miss Maggie, Mr. Dean. Big shout out to Greg. He's our electrician friend that has been helping us so much lately. He's an amazing person. Thank you so much. His mom just came from Jamaica. They're going to come over for Christmas dinner. Big shout out to Woody Foster. Woody, listen, you're an amazing person. I don't know if you know it or not, but you are an amazing person. Thank you so much for all the amazing things that you do in this community as well. There's so many really, really good people here in Cayman that make this country, in my opinion, still the best. Yes, we've got our issues, but you know what? We're still the best, honey child. That's why so many people want to be here. Don't y'all forget that. Okay, so 2024, right around the corner. Please be safe during the holidays. No drinking and driving. Stay home and drink if you must. Enjoy the good company that you have at home. And I will see you guys, I think it's the 3rd of January. We'll be back in full swing, and we're going to just continue this train straight into 2024, God's willing. So Yasmin, Merry Christmas. Gareth, Gabby, Miss Brenda, Merry Christmas to all of you. And please stay blessed, and we will see you guys in 2024. All right, take care.
Thank you for tuning in to another episode of The Cold Hard Truth on Bobo 89.1 FM. Cayman's #1 talk show is live weekdays from 7:30 a.m. Never miss an episode again. Watch anytime on CMR's Facebook and YouTube channels for the latest show episodes. Don't forget to follow us online on our social media channels. And visit CaymanMarlRoad.com for all the latest news and community happenings.